anything at that point. You know, it's I need this.
I hear you.
Props to you, because I can't turn my work email off.
Yeah, luckily my work email and my personal email are different, and I can only access my work email. Yeah, that's my fault. I can only access my work email from work, so I don't have to worry about it whenever I'm there. It's great.
That works.
Yeah,
but I'm happy to be here.
I hear you. Katie, what's up?
It's going.
It's going.
It's going.
Yeah, I hear you. Podcasting a lot lately, I see. Podcasting, writing, doing reviewing, all that good stuff. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. And Lisa, you know, last but not least, of course,
Hey.
how are you doing?
You know, pretty good. Busy and in a good way, and yeah, surviving.
I know at this point you're probably sick of hearing my voice. You know, we just recorded last night, so you're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
God,
we
I gotta
recorded
hear him
last night.
again. Goodness gracious. But, you know.
Gosh, that Greg guy again.
I know, right? We're glad you said come on. It's gonna be a really fun night tonight. But we have a really special topic to talk about tonight. We're doing our normal first of the month movie review a little bit early because I believe all of us are taking the week off next week to celebrate with the families, have some 4th of July fun, and just kind of get in, you know, have a vacation, have a good time. So we're taking a break next week. We went ahead and did the review this week, and we are starting with a movie that is near and dear to one of my good friends, Chris Balga, and I can't start this review off with anybody but you. So Chris, talk to me about Harry Potter.
Well, it's a fun romp. It's a fun romp. A coming-of-age story for all ages. You know, everyone from 0 to 99 will enjoy this lovely romp of Harrius Potterus.
I like it. The Latin name. I like it. But no, seriously, what were we talking about, Chris? Man, I couldn't start this without you. This is one of your passions. I know you are probably the biggest fan of this franchise that I know, and that's why I'm loving that we are doing this, and you can be a part of it. So what are we talking about?
We are talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. I do not subscribe to the renaming of it as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. We will go with the title of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You can't just call it Indiana Jones 1?
No,
Like
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I know. All right. Yeah, so here we go. Movie month.
Well,
Chris, get
Lucas,
started, man.
that was Lucas' jam, was, you know, renaming the movie after it was out and doing its thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Episode 4, New Hope, you know what I mean? It was just Star Wars. This was
True
supposed to be
point.
Raiders of the Lost Ark, and now it's Indiana Jones.
True point.
You
You
got
got
it pattern.
Yep, you got to keep it fed. But no,
What was the original name of Howard the Duck? No, sorry, we're getting way off track already.
H Duck the first.
It's just the first.
No, I've been a huge Indiana Jones fan since I was a kid. This is not my favorite. My favorite is Last Crusade. So in a couple of months we'll get to that, and I'll really gush about that. But I have probably seen this over 50 times.
Wow.
I have probably seen Last Crusade over 100 times.
It's the Sean Connery factor.
Yes, Indiana Jones is probably, if I had to pick one of my top 5 favorite movie characters, it is that. Harrison Ford literally is Indiana Jones. The dialogue, it is a tribute to B movies elevated to A status. Just every little beat going, it's just awesome. I mean, there's so many different parts. I could quote it. I've been Indiana Jones for many different types of costumes. I have action figures. I like I said, I'm a really dedicated fan.
I'm there with you, man. I'm with you. Love this series, but the third one is my favorite.
Okay. Wait, the 4th one's not your favorite?
Oh, stop.
Ooh,
I
that one.
You know what? I've only seen it twice, and I don't remember it as well. But it didn't stick out enough for me to be like, "Oh, I hate this! It ruined everything like it did everybody else." So
You know what
until we get to that one.
You know what the interesting commentary I heard someone say, jumping to the 4th one, is man, the 4th one was just so unrealistic with the aliens. Really? The 4th one was unrealistic? An Ark of the Covenant that released ghosts, that thing that would take parts coming and a Grail that would give everlasting life. Point to me where the realism with any of those.
Where is the line you
Religic
draw?
magic is real, but you know, aliens is out of the fucking question.
Right.
Come on now.
There's no way it's possible. No way.
But anyways, we digress.
We do digress.
Katie, what do you think about this movie?
Oh man, I love it. Like Indiana Jones, I realized like Matt, my boyfriend, and I just got done watching it like probably 10 minutes before I logged on to like 8:40 ish. But I realized that I think I've actually seen the Indiana Jones movies more than I've seen Star Wars, and that's big.
What?
For me.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
yeah. So I love Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford's amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
And I
Taco
can't
meat for
remember who
days.
I can't remember the actress's name, but I love Marion. I love Marion to death.
Oh, yeah, me
Karen
too.
Allen.
Yes.
Karen
Allen.
Allen. Yes, she's amazing.
I took notes for once.
Wow, really?
Right. Go ahead. I'll pat myself on the back. Go ahead.
Good
guys.
job. I'm proud of you. He grows up so fast.
What about you, Lisa? Do you love this movie?
Yes. We covered 3 of the movies on my show with my childhood friend, best friend, Kara, because we watched them like 1,000 times growing up. I'm sure I'm exaggerating, but I have a really messed up story from my childhood. I just want to, maybe that I can slip that in later.
Okay.
But
Go ahead and say it now.
okay, I gotta say it now,
Go
right?
now.
You already threw the tease out there.
When we were kids, we watched this movie so many times. You know, my friend Kara had the Temple of Doom poster on her wall, and we just love these movies. Well, I used to go over. We're in Texas, so I used to go over to Mexico a lot, like to a border town, and buy stuff. And one time I went over there and saw a whip, a leather whip, and I was like, I need that. And so I bought that, and that turned into Kara and I taking turns essentially whipping each other. Like we were like really young.
This just turned dark.
Just to see who could take it. Just to see who.
Yes, that's it was not, sensual, but it was
And
was
we
like-
lost Katie.
where am I going with this, right? No, but yeah, it started with someone. It started with like, I'll put my arm out and you hit it with the whip and let's see if it really works.
Like slap wrestling,
like-
right?
That's my
Right.
idea.
It's
And
around,
then
yeah.
they did that. A huge welt appears on your arm. It makes you very angry and makes you want to retaliate. And pretty soon, my father rushes into the room and is like, "What's happening?" Like takes the whip from us, and we're covered in welts. And yeah, I don't remember how he explained that to her mom, but it happened.
Full whip accident.
That's awesome.
I used to get one at the county fair every year that came around because there always seemed to be just like the little cheap whips and
Yeah.
I mean
finger
I'd break
traps,
it
right?
within 3 months and by
Right.
the time the county fair came around again I was like, yes, a new one. You go out there and you try to wrap it around a tree and hold your weight and just snap them, but
Yeah.
it was always fun when I first got them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we really thought that we were going to get really good with this whip and grab stuff with it.
Right.
And
Right?
we just hurt ourselves real bad. So
You were just emulating what happened in the third one. It's okay.
That's just true.
Sarah, what do you think about this movie?
Oh, I have always absolutely loved Indiana Jones. Well, because archaeology is one of my favorite. That's one of my interests as well. Matter of fact, when I first started at East Carolina, that was what I had eventually. Well, that's what I had wanted to major in. But of course, my parents talked me out of it because they're like, "What are you going to do with it?" So since they were, paying tuition, I had to kind of step back from that.
you should have
But-
said, "Haven't you seen Indiana Jones? You know what
Well,
I
they have. They have. But of course, that epic question: what are you going to do with it? I'm like
Yeah.
18. I don't know.
I got a
It's
terrible
cool.
You got a terrible
But no,
joke?
I
But
got
I
a
mean-
terrible
Nathan's got
joke.
Nathan's got a terrible joke. Everyone wait for it.
There you
No,
go.
I'm
Go
going
ahead
to
and
keep
say
it
it.
to myself.
You put it out
I mean,
there. You got to say
All
it
right.
now.
Well, you're not helping the stereotype of women just like to dig up old shit. All right, I'm just saying it.
Oh.
Because archaeologists. See, that's what I said.
That
terrible
was a
joke.
terrible
I'm gonna
joke.
keep it to
That
myself.
was a no. You can't say it like that, Katie. You got to say it the right way.
No.
There you go.
There we go.
That's the one we're looking for. That's the one we're looking for.
Anyways,
Anyways, yeah.
but archaeology, like Egyptian and all that kind of thing, that's always been mine.
Love history.
So when this movie when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like just the action, the adventure. But then you do have the archaeology. So I think that just really just pulled me into it as well. And of course, it was Harrison Ford. So
Right. Oh yeah.
Who
And
doesn't
Snake.
love Harrison Ford?
and snakes.
Nobody.
So I mean, who doesn't?
Oh.
Even I love
Okay,
Harrison
Sarah.
Ford, right?
And
Yeah.
spiders.
Right.
And snakes. I mean,
So
But yeah, and it was it's just a fun ride. I mean, it was just a fun ride.
Oh yeah.
it's a very, very fun movie, and for me, I've been fortunate enough to watch 2 movies in the last 2 nights that I haven't seen in probably 25 or 30 years. I mean, I do like Indiana Jones, but Indiana Jones is one of those movies for me that I've seen it a couple times when I was younger. If I never went back to it, I'd be okay. but I don't mind watching it again because it's a good movie. And I didn't have really a reason to watch it again until now.
Thank you, Lisa.
I know. I was like,
This is like the movie that when we hang out and we've had too much to drink, my friend's like, let's watch Indiana Jones. Like one time she was drunk and she forced me to buy it. I didn't own it and she was like, buy it now. And I bought it. And then the next time she came over, she's like, I made you buy that, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I was like,
But for me, it's one of those
watch it
movies
again?
where if you see it on somewhere, whether you own it or not, if it just happens to come on, I'm going to sit and watch it.
exactly.
That's just one of those movies that is on the list of like, if it's on, I'm going to watch it. I don't care at what point. I'm going to watch it to the end.
Hey, I'll tell you how dedicated I am to this film at that point. I going to Walt Disney World, I have purposely lined up early for that epic stunt spectacular, been in the front row, and gotten on to be one of those extras in that show. That is
Nice.
that is how much I just love everything about this character. Like you said, you like archaeology. This was one of my inspirations to become a history teacher.
Oh,
You know?
that's wonderful.
I actually wanted to ask you about that, to be honest, because I knew that when I was watching this and I saw the scene where he's in the bathroom, obviously, I was like, I wonder if this has the reason why Chris likes this movie so much, or if maybe this inspired him to do what he's doing. And that's actually pretty cool that this movie touched you so much that it inspired you to pursue a career in somewhat of what he does. I don't know if you're a go on adventures, when you don't tell us about it and you do all this other stuff, but I know you are in education. So,
we don't talk about Chris's adventures.
what happens
Chris's
top
adventures are his
secret.
own.
right? There you go. But all right, cool. Well, there's all kind of thoughts about it. Let's go ahead and talk about some the review. Let's walk through the movie and talk about things we loved about it, things that we remember, things that we maybe question. And I'm going to bring up a couple things that when I look at it now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't know about that.
No question.
But I don't want to bash it.
Don't question it. No.
Yeah.
No questions.
Don't be like my wife towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, hey, you know what, Chris?
Yeah.
Like I said, man, you're my Indiana Jones guy. Get us started, man. I want to know what your favorite scene of this movie is.
Everyone chooses the opening at that point, just like the whole opening temple the rolling ball, everything. I mean, just the introduction to the character that sets up Indiana Jones without him saying too many words. But I have to say, one of my favorite scenes has to be him and Belloc in the cafe, and they're just having this kind of play on words with each other. And when Belloc goes, "Don't you understand? It's a transmitter. You can communicate with God. You want to talk to God? Let's do it together. I got nothing better to do." He's just got, throughout the whole series, just a lot of great one-liners, and that's probably one of the best in there.
Yeah. The whole time I was watching this movie, the one-liner I was waiting for was, I got a bad feeling about this. I was waiting for him to say it, and he never did, and I was like, aw. But, what about you, Katie? Favorite scene?
So my favorite part has got to be when he's trying to find Marion in the shopping square thing.
Yeah.
He comes out and he sees the guy with the big sword, and then he's like,
Yes!
That's a good scene.
That's one of mine. Yes.
That's a good
And
scene.
what's funny is I didn't realize that he was actually sick during filming that.
Yes.
That wasn't intentional. So
Oh,
he was.
I think wasn't that like an ad lib type scene where it was just kind of like, let's do this and be done
He
with
just
it.
did it.
Yeah.
Didn't he just do it on his own because he was sick and just tired and ready to be done with the
Yeah.
take?
Chris, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Well, because what I had thought was that he had filmed the sword fight scene twice, and then was like, "I'm not doing this again," and then just pulled out a gun and shot him, and that's when they decided to go for it. That's what I heard.
So he was supposed to actually have a sword fight scene right there.
Yes,
Yeah.
the guy had trained. That was an actual real life swordsman. He was
Mhm.
pure
That big
legit at
scimitar.
that point. And Harrison Ford and I think a few others on set had gotten either food poisoning or really, really sick, and he just went to Spielberg and said, "Hey, I'm really sick. Do you mind if I just can you approve me just shooting him and going in?" Well, they didn't tell the guy until last minute. He was so ticked.
I bet
He had prepped for this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best stories coming from that set. Outside of when they joked around and shoved what was it, Spielberg back into the catacombs when they escaped.
Nice.
Wait,
Yes, I don't know anything. Yeah.
I need to know the story now.
Well, it was just a joke at that point. After they escaped the catacombs at that point. After Spielberg had jumped in, so they took the block and put him back in there.
Okay. What about you, Nathan? You got a favorite scene you want to point out that hasn't been talked about yet?
Well, since she took the gun in the shooting scene, I'm gonna go with I think my second favorite, where he's trying to get on that plane, and then like the big guy comes up and takes him off, and him and the big guy. And I love the like just trading back and forth the punches as if like that's how it was done all chivalrous back in the day. It was just you hit, I hit, you hit, I hit. So
Right. Because fights aren't really like that, y'all.
But he's like, I mean, I love it that he's like fighting and finally he just lays on the ground and the plane just slow. You get to see the plane moving the whole time. They're just trading back and forth. And then he looks around the guy, the way the guy slow turns, looks at it and goes, ah! And then it just cuts away. I don't know. It was funny when it wasn't supposed to be, but I just, one of my favorite scenes was him fighting that big ass guy with the bald head.
Okay. What about you, Sarah? You got a favorite one they haven't talked about yet?
Oh my God. Well, I think I have like two small ones.
Okay.
The first one is where Marion outdrinks that guy. I tried
Yeah.
to figure out how
Oh, yeah.
many shots
Oh,
she
you
took because
stole
I'm
my
like,
favorite
how
scene.
are you alive? Because the dude is just like, just falls over. Because I'm like, yeah.
Well, don't they say like 98 in that scene or something? Like they're
I
counting.
don't know.
That's
It's
what
like I
happened.
don't know, but it's just insane. And of course,
Right.
then afterwards, Indiana comes in and she's like all straight. I mean, she's got a little bit, but she's just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my second one, I think, is like probably one of the my favorite quotes. What is it? Snakes, always snakes. It's always got to be snakes along those lines.
Why is it always?
the end,
Yeah, why is it always
I,
snakes?
I don't think he actually says why
Very
it's got to be
dangerous.
snakes. He's like snakes, always snakes or something like that.
Yeah.
And I read an interesting thing about that with all the snakes in there is they're not all snakes. They actually put some cut like hose in there.
God, I would hope not.
Because
Snakes down
a lot of
there,
different
Jesus.
snakes. They had all these different types of snakes, and a lot of them didn't get along. So like cobras, like killing other ones. But if you look real close,
Just
you
like a
can tell.
snake massacre in there?
Yeah, well, they just brought in all these snakes, just snakes and snakes and snakes. And I think I want to say, like I said, part of it wasn't. They had just like cut like pieces of like hose, like black hose, to put in there, to emulate other, more snakes. And I thought that was really cool. But I don't know. It's just that just. And when you're talking about like I have a bad feeling about that, that's like his thing. Every movie, snakes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. That's
And even when he got in the plane, he's like, "There's a snake in here." He's
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, that's so and so. He's fine. Leave him. He's good."
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
snakes
going
were
right out of the
definitely snakes were definitely a big thing running through this series. I think that we should start a new TikTok challenge, and it should be the Indiana Jones drinking game challenge. Why not? People will do it. People eat Tide Pods. Why wouldn't people drink alcohol that's supposed to be consumed?
And drink bleach while they're at it.
That's
Okay,
right.
both can kill you, Greg. Drinking, consuming
Or
that much
inject it.
alcohol and Tide Pods can both kill you. So
Yes,
Yes.
but
it's
one's
not
instant.
recommended. That is not recommended at all. We are not endorsing that because that can kill you.
But one is instant, and one is in about
Very, very
45
much.
years. So just saying. Lisa, what do you think? You have a favorite scene?
So, my favorite scenes were taken, and the other problem that I always have with this movie is that I blend this one and Crusade into one film,
Yes.
and I keep
Yes.
trying to say a favorite scene, and I'm like, no, that was the third one. But since you already took the drinking scene, which is one of my favorites for a bunch of reasons, I like that one, and I like all the scenes with was about to look his name because I always say it wrong. Is it what's his buddy's name?
Oh, Sala.
Like-
Saul.
Sala, yeah.
Sala.
Mhm.
Sala.
Oh, yeah.
Sala, yeah. I like the scenes with him a lot. I just enjoy seeing him, and he's just fun. And then I
His
think
voice is comforting for some reason.
yeah,
I swear
he's
to God,
very-
like,
he's
it's-
he's very
Good point,
jolly. You
yeah,
know.
yes, that's it.
He's Gimli, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yes.
Gimli.
Yeah.
Really?
He just
I
seems
did not
sweet.
know
And
that. Okay.
He's the Brine King in Aquaman too.
Wow, I didn't
And
know that.
right.
either.
He's,
That's
he's
awesome.
he's the Brine King down there in Atlantis.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
realize
he
that.
Dropping
Yes.
knowledge. I like it.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Boom,
Yeah. And then Man, another favorite scene. Gosh, I'm probably
It's
not
too
going to be
many.
able to come.
Too
Yeah,
many.
there's so many.
Yeah, I'll say
Um,
you're going fifth of 6 people, so I mean,
You know what?
that might be taken.
I'm going to say the face melting scene.
Yes,
Okay.
I was just thinking of that.
Okay.
It's like one of my favorite gifs. I think I posted that gif when you announced this
Just
episode.
think about
Okay.
like,
That's
the time,
true.
the technology and the way they did that. Like that was, it still holds up watching
Scared
that shit.
the crap out of
I
me.
Yeah.
just watched it 30 minutes ago and I went, ugh,
Yeah.
watching it. You know what I mean? And I'm an adult. I know what it is.
I love it.
Well, they
Yeah,
kind of.
Hey, and it's Nazi, so it's okay to say yes.
Yeah.
Right. Melt every Nazi
Well-
face off.
Yeah.
So speaking on the effects, like the only thing that I think looks like kind of oldish is all of like the CGI scenes that they do in this. But like,
But that is so
everything-
comforting to me.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
that's just 'cause I'm
nostalgic.
old. Maybe it's just because I'm
Yeah,
old. But
Katie
like,
had the
love
reaction
when
I
you
did,
see
like,
that stuff.
what does that mean, Nathan? Explain.
but I mean, but like you see some older movies and they're like they really hold up well. This one holds up well besides the skies. Like even just now watching it, I was like, wow, that's a really horrible CGI sky scene, like right there. Like,
But I
but
get what they're
everything
doing.
else, like,
Right.
It reminds me of
still-
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
No, it's that
It reminds
time.
me a lot of Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
and I
it's
love the
that time.
Busters.
Well, I mean, that was the 80s. I mean, that was,
Exactly,
they were
that's
still trying to
comforting.
figure
Dark
it out. And this
Crystal.
was early 80s, too.
I
The
So.
Dark
the
Crystal
Busters.
did the same
Hey,
thing. Like
Dark
that, to me,
Crystal
that's
wasn't
the shit.
CGI
You know, the
though, man.
labyrinth,
That was-
all that stuff.
Yeah, Dark Crystal was.
No, the original
puppets.
movie though.
Right.
But the original movie, when they make the effects like that and the lighting, I'm telling you,
I get that.
it's all 80s and I love it.
I get that. Let me see. For me, you know, obviously my you know, I'm a borderline alcoholic. So my not even borderline. I'm pretty much an alcoholic. So but I'm a functional alcoholic. So
Sure.
my favorite scene was
Somebody's
probably the
gotta
drinking
be.
scene. When you know I saw that again today, I was like, oh, that's awesome. When I was younger, that didn't really appeal to me that much. But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to play
Oh,
that
yeah.
game because I guarantee you I'd win that money. But if it's not that one, and since it's already been taken, I would say just one that really stood out to me is the moment where he has the medallion and he attaches it to the staff, and what does he do? He holds it up to the light and discovers.
Puts it in the right position.
Yeah, puts it in the right position. That was a pretty cool scene. I like that. That kind of drew me in. Like I was kind of half watching this movie because I've seen it before, but I needed to watch it. I was kind of half watching this. That was one of the ones where whenever I saw it, I had to stop and watch because I feel
Yeah.
like that's almost a sense of accomplishment. You know, like if you were to achieve that based on what you've been trying to do, just that alone is, you know, it's win. So
I think that's just the fun part of his character itself because, I mean, yeah, you've got the action adventure part, but then you actually have the intellectual part. And that's, you know, you're actually seeing him, you know, taking, you know, like the archaeology part of it where he's
Right.
figuring out where to find it. And then, like I said, it's just figuring out the clues and putting everything together. It's like a
Andy's a
like a
detective.
mystery. So
Mhm.
I'm
I
thinking
laughed,
of a
I
bad
laughed
joke
today.
already.
Oh, sorry. I laughed today whenever he was like, it hurt. He's like making her kiss it all over the place.
That
He
was-
looks like
that was a
little
good
kid.
scene,
He
too,
looked
yeah.
like a little kid doing it. I was like, oh my god.
I got
was
it.
Nathan.
right here and right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, right here and right here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good scene.
Nathan, you
Yes.
need to come this way.
No, I was
you're falling in
leaning
the
over.
corner.
I was leaning over.
No,
Getting
go back
comfortable,
the other
guys.
way. Go back the other way.
Nobody cares to see me.
It's not time for you to go in the corner yet.
Oh man. All right, cool. So we're talking Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark, not Raiders. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Later.
Laters.
Yeah, Raiders. Let's see. We've been through favorite scenes. Anything that stood out to you, Chris? Why do you love this movie so much? Besides the fact that it kind of touches you and it made you kind of inspired you to do what you wanted to do.
It does what?
What made you fall in love with this movie? Yeah,
We can
It touches-
file a report
It touches
right
you in
now,
a
Chris.
special way.
We can file a report
Special
right
way.
now.
I need an adult. I need an adult.
Show me in the doll where it touches, Chris.
I don't know why I go there, guys. That's the first thing.
Yes,
about
you
me.
do. Yes, you do.
You know why. Exactly. There you go. You go there just for that response.
Yep.
So. But Chris, man, why did this movie appeal to you so much, man? Why did it draw you in to the point where it kind of inspired you to do what you're doing?
I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's one of those early movies that just stands out to me when I really fell into my whole just loving what it is, what a movie can do, and just seeing exactly how just it's the perfect blend of just action, adventure. You got a little bit of romance in there. You've got, anytime you can go against a true blue bad guy, the Nazis, you can't go wrong with that.
Never.
Right.
And the fact that it's the ending is even just all more frustrating, but it's just one of those things that it leaves it open to what's the next. It leaves me open to what's the next adventure.
The
Okay.
ending is, dare I say, face melting.
Yes. But this is a character that has had a number of novels, comics, everything like that. You can create your own Indiana Jones adventure. There's just so much out there for this character to do, and I was so happy when the Indiana Jones Chronicles on TV, seeing where he came from as a kid and a young adult.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many levels to this character. He's not just a one-dimensional. He's got layers to him. He's not perfect. He's not the one that's going to make the right choice or make do the right thing.
The Young Indiana TV shows connected to the movies?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's
Really?
kinda like
Is it any good?
It's like teenage him. It's like
Is it any good?
not teenage.
Yeah, they
but-
have him as a kid, and then Sean Patrick Flannery basically becomes Indiana Jones throughout the rest of it. Like, they have a few episodes of him as a kid, and then Sean Patrick Flannery becomes like it basically
like early
takes
20s or so.
yeah. And so the cool thing with it is that it takes you through kind of like what Indy did, is like you're at these moments in history where he'll either be at a key moment or meet very famous historical individuals during the time. So it's just kind of like, suspend belief, but if you like Indiana Jones, it's along it's kind of the same teeth. So
Well, two things out of that comment. One, I have a Fire Stick that I watch Indiana Jones on, and I have I've modified this Fire Stick to be able to watch whatever I want to on it. So that's what I'll say. And I did notice when I just typed in Indiana Jones, there was a ton of stuff that came up, and it looked like old television shows, which I've never known about. So that must be what y'all are talking about. I was going to ask you about that. And two, I've got to mark down the time that Chris wrote "fell into my hole," because that's the way my line works, and it's just going to be part of B-roll right there. Fell into my hole, Chris Balga, episode 40, or excuse me, 57.
I do what I can to help out help you out, Greg.
Okay.
Well, Chris was spot on last week whenever you guys were talking about stuff, and he said, "I love Dick" when he was talking about the Robin. He goes, he stopped himself and he goes, "Oh, Nathan's having a field day," and I literally said out loud, "First of all," it said it right on time. So, we know, guys.
I'm a B-roll guy. Lisa, you look like you want to say something. What's up?
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. Well,
you look like you do. You don't. You don't.
Maybe not.
No, I love this movie because a lot of it is nostalgia for me. I did watch it a ton of times, but I think it's one of those films that's just like, Katie said earlier she saw it more than Star Wars growing up, and I think it definitely holds a place like that in my heart for me. I think I definitely saw it more than Star Wars. And it's just such a beautiful love letter to older serial films. It takes all the best stuff from those movies, and puts it into one thing. And I don't know. I think a lot of it's just Harrison Ford, honestly. Like, I can't picture anybody else nailing the role quite like he does. He adds so much nuance to the character that Chris was talking about earlier. And I don't know. It's almost like a perfect film to me. Like, I can't even see any flaws in it. So
I can't even believe it was Tom Selleck.
I know.
That
It's
was
so
going to be
weird.
Tom Selleck.
Really?
Mustache and all.
I
He
didn't know
was
that.
the original. He
yeah.
was cast as Indiana Jones in Hawaii 5.
Are there
What was
pictures?
it? Not Hawaii 5, but what was it? Magnum PI. Magnum
That's right.
PI
Yeah.
couldn't rearrange filming, and so that's when they went with Harrison.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that, man. That's
Yeah.
insane stuff. What about you, Sarah? What draws you to this movie that you love so much, or have you pretty much covered everything? Having this many people on the podcast, it's hard not to have something covered.
Well, it was, like I said, I think it was just the archaeology aspect, and plus it's an action adventure. So, I just enjoy movies like that, period. So, when this movie came out, I was young, believe it or not. But, it's just
Stop
one of
it.
those-
You're only 26 now.
Right.
But, I don't. It's just one of those, like I said, it's just one of those movies where you see it and it just grabs you.
Right.
And then, and it's one of those where you want to watch it over and over and over again. And that really, the fact that this was a movie in the early 80s and the fact that it still has a following now, I mean, that's just kudos to great filmmaking right there.
Right.
So, I mean, you have great character development, and it's just a fun movie. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but it's just right a bit, just enough humor, and it's got enough of the, like I said, the action, and it's just, I just love it. I mean, it's just one of those movies you can't really. I can try to give so many explanations, but I just love it. It is what it is.
Sometimes you don't have to have an explanation for why you love it. It's just something you love,
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
Like, Sarah, I know you said it earlier, but like seeing this movie come on, it's a great testament to comfort filmmaking, because even if you pop up in the middle of it on cable and you see it and you're like, oh, okay, cool, like I'll watch Indiana Jones, like that's fine. You can jump in anywhere and you can catch the plot. Like that's one of the great things about this movie. It's a comfort film. Like I've said it about Solo, where it's easy to jump in and say, okay, yeah, cool, I'm in the middle of a Star Wars movie. You get the same result here. Like
this is true.
Did you see Nathan's head turn when you said that? When he said Solo, he said,
I don't care what you say about Solo. It's a great film, and it's
like
one
it.
of those movies that
I
goes.
like
Felicity
it.
Jones is a
You're
great job.
right. You
I
can
like it
jump
too.
right into it. Like I like Indiana. It's like you can always. It's just like a good action adventure, like swashbuckling. He's the hero, but he's like this kind of like he's just a real hero. He just talks the way that you think that somebody would talk about stuff. I don't know. I just really like it. He does what he wants to do. He's like when he's in archaeologist mode, like professor mode, like he pulls it off. He looks like it. He's got the glasses, his hair's all over, he's done. And like you said, he sells you that he really knows what he's talking about. And then he goes and he puts the coat on and the hat, and look out, because he's doing it. He'll pull a gun on you, he'll crack you with the whip, he'll punch you right in the fucking mouth. He doesn't care. Like he's gonna get the job done, and I love it.
Yeah.
And
You just
those
go
hurt.
along the ride with him. Yeah, and he just, I don't know.
Lisa can tell you. That's right. Lisa knows.
Yeah.
They hurt.
Hurts.
Well, it's just like when he packed his suitcase when he was ready to go. It's like, had all this stuff, and he threw the hat, threw the gun in there, threw the bullwhip, had everything.
I mean, you look at the character of Indiana Jones. I was curious because I'm, like I said, love this film, but I was a huge fan of when they were actually out on CBS when they put these out, like the AFI's 100 years, 100 thrills, movies, things like that. Indiana Jones, the character, placed second on 100 years, 100 heroes and villains. It was originally ranked 60th on their best films of all time. Then when they did a 10th anniversary, they did 66. Raiders of the Lost Ark placed number 10 on 100 Years, 100 Thrills. I mean, this movie has just staying power. And it'll be interesting to see if we ever see this infamous fifth film.
Yeah.
And if we never do,
Security.
Right.
Yep, the hunt for Social Security.
They have
If
planned
we
it.
never do, it's fine. Even though I love Harrison Ford, I love the character of Indiana Jones, as I've said before, this is a character that can be recast. It can continue the adventures one way or another. But if we never do, so be it. But I'm not one of these people who say that you can't remake this movie. You can't.
So treat him like
continue
Bond.
on.
Yeah.
Keep the same music and keep the same hat and coat. And
No,
we're good.
No, what we're gonna do is call him a different name and still title it Indiana Jones. I'm
Can
sorry.
we call it Idaho Jones?
Well,
Be his best friend.
There's two things that stand out for me in this film, and one is the timing of when it came out, and I think me and Lisa were talking about it last night on the film we discussed. I think in the 80s, a lot of films were more straight to the point, as in when the movie starts, within 10 minutes you're into kind of the crux of what's going on, as opposed to a lot of movies now are longer and have a build-up of 30, 45 minutes before you really get to the problem.
Well,
and,
Lucas
whatever.
was good about that. Lucas would drop you in the middle of the action.
Right, yeah, yeah.
This is,
that's
I
a very
mean,
good
he's
point.
the producer. Like, I know Spielberg did it, but that was his thing.
Right,
But
right.
But
Yeah, they
those
came up
guys
with it
grew up and
together.
They did that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a different point that I see from movies when I was growing up and now. Even you look at movies like D2 or Mighty Ducks, stuff like that. Like, it drops right into the plot of the movie, like right into the crux of what the problem is, or and it kind of goes from there. And two, Indiana Jones is a very relatable character. Even though you may not be an archaeologist, you may not be a history teacher, he's a guy. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have. He's not like watching
He's
Superman.
not super
or Green
buff
Lantern.
either.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, he's a normal
Not like
guy.
jacked. He's just like a regular dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's
But-
very, very relatable.
But
you
very
know?
handsome.
He's got so much taco meat though. Like I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go out there unless you can just have 4 buttons down and just let it all hang out though.
Four buttons down, hang out.
But-
I gotta write that down for
Yeah.
There we go.
So you've got to think about it though. A lot more studios have certain IPs like Marvel, and everything. Star Wars, for instance, like a lot of these IPs where you're building a complete story over not just one but several movies. Like
Right.
they're going to build you up into that plot because despite what Marvel says about you being able to jump right into a trilogy and watch it front to back, like those are those 3 movies aren't just the movies that you're involved in. You're involved in the entire thing. Whereas
Right.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, it's kind of been its own thing. Like, yes, it's turning into more of an IP now where like Harrison Ford is still working on Indiana Jones 5, but like, I do think that it could turn into that James Bond type deal where you're recasting and you're kind of telling stories along the same lines. But that's a great idea. Like,
I think that is a
turn it into
fantastic
James
idea.
Bond.
I agree. You could continue this story and this lore and that character forever if you continue to do that. That's a great idea, Katie. I love it.
And again, if you who they recast, you don't like the stories, guess what? They're right there, still waiting on you.
Exactly.
They'll
Yeah.
always have
The
them.
originals will
Chris.
always be
No,
there.
Chris, that's not how it works. When something's remade, the original is scrapped and wiped out.
I'm sorry, Nate.
Forever.
We've
Your
lost you
childhood
there, bud.
ruined.
I'm sorry.
But
Katie,
one thing I want to say, and this is kudos to Harrison Ford, because here you have Han Solo, but yet when he takes the mantle of Indiana Jones, that's who you see. I don't even think about Han. I don't.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah,
And-
I agree.
That's a very good point. Very good.
I kind of do. Like I said, I'm not a huge Indiana Jones fan. I like the movies, but when I see it, I'm waiting for him to say something like, I got a bad feeling about this or something like that. So just me personally, but I get what you're saying.
Chewie!
That's great. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what
But
he's
I
waiting
think-
for
but
in the plane when he's telling the guy to take off. Just punch it, Chewie, before he grabs the snake out of there.
But if you have to come down to it, Greg, I mean, it's like you said, you like Han Solo a lot more than you do Indiana Jones, so that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not that I'm
But
knocking Indiana Jones. Sorry.
No,
Go ahead,
I don't
Lisa.
think you are.
I
don't
think of
you
them
are.
equally.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, because I can go back, I can shift back and forth. It's almost like there's 2 Harrison Fords. It's like Harry and Harrison, and they're twins, and they play both of them.
I like
I accept them both.
Actually, it goes by H Dog on the side.
Yeah. HW.
Lisa, you've been trying to say something.
Right. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Lisa.
well, yeah, I just want to get this out because, Katie, to your point, I was listening to a podcast one time, and I can't remember which one it was, but they were saying that one unique thing about Indiana Jones, if you think about it, there's no like Indiana Jones action figures. Like you could probably find a toy of it, but it's not like every kid had one. Every kid had the hat.
Yeah.
Kids had the whip. You wanted to be
The
him on
Jackson.
Halloween, but you don't buy the action figure, and I think that says a lot. Like you really put yourself in that
That's a
role of
great
being
point.
him,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
you could recast, like you're saying. I think because it's bigger than just him in a way.
Dr. Jones made knapsacks
wait.
for guys.
Chris is
What are you
making me
bringing
a
in,
liar.
Chris? What are you bringing in, Chris? Oh, I
He's like,
love it.
Exhibit A, Lisa.
I love it. I love it.
But
But it's not an action figure, is it?
True.
No,
But
that's a
to
step.
tie it-
Right.
So to tie in some of the current news, so Pirates of the Caribbean is looking to reboot with a female Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
That's not Margot Robbie's movie that's happening. Margot Robbie's movie is completely different. But there's been talk about doing a female James Bond. Like if you recast this person, you keep them in the same style. You keep this guy as a male.
The guy
If
that
you
created Bond said there'll never be a female Bond, but he's not saying there can't be a female Bond character, but she's not going to be James Bond. She won't be, you know what I mean? James will exist, but she'll be like Katie Gilstrap
She gonna
008 or
be Jamie
whatever.
Bond?
Maybe the new 007, but James will still be there. They're never going to be like, this is James Bond, only it's...
Well, they're basically doing that
You
in
know.
the new one. They
Yeah.
basically have a double
I
O.
can't wait to
Yeah,
see
you have
that
a
one, man.
007 who's a female, but
Yeah,
it's not
see,
a
no,
James
yes,
Bond.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
that's not the same thing. Like,
And we need to get
Go for it.
Idris Elba
Spin
in there,
her-
too.
spin her off into that.
You've got to
like,
put him in everything. Yeah.
He's
Don't
Bond,
have
dude. Like,
any-
he acts like Bond.
Katie,
Sorry,
talk.
Katie.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't recast these iconic characters as females. Build female-driven franchises. Like, yes, the Doctor. So the Doctor was recast as a female, and that's something that people take into consideration a lot. But there was a past precedence for that with the Time Lord changing between genders. So if you can build it up in that sort of way, then fine, like go for it. But in cases where like you have a perfectly human Indiana Jones or a perfectly human James Bond, they need to stay where they are.
So, Katie, what you're saying is you would rather have the character, it would give more respect to a female or whatever other type character you cast this as to be a new character in that franchise.
Build her own name.
Rather than be a recast of a character written to be somebody else, basically.
Because and
I 100% agree with you.
What you're doing by putting a female in a typical man's role is you're saying, okay, we're going to piggyback off of this franchise and do it this way. Like Margot Robbie's movie in Pirates of the Caribbean, that's perfectly fine. They're saying it's going to be completely original characters and whatever. If you throw in Jack Sparrow's name, that's fine. Like, go for it. Like, build off, use that franchise and build it off, but make it be an original character. If you're putting a female in the man's role and saying, okay, we're going to go off on James Bond, she's going to be Jamie Bond. Like
you could build Marianne up, like she could be like Jones's actual partner. Because look how much of a badass she was in this movie. Do a little bit more, and she could be straight up his assisted part, like even Stevens, and go with. You know what I mean? You can build that character right up.
Another thing to kind of back you up, Katie, on that one. I mean, look at what was it, Ocean's 8? Perfect example of taking
perfect.
Well, I mean, like in the sense of it's not the exact same character. It's just happens to be there. They happen to be related, but it's its own kind of thing in the same universe.
Right. There you go.
I think I'm alone on my perspective in this one. So
okay.
I think I disagree,
go for it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong by having
and this just a different opinion. So don't read too much into it. But I think some franchises and some IPs have a serious advantage of being so established that to expect like a brand new one with a female to ever meet that or to meet that anytime soon doesn't typically happen. And that's why sometimes people, suggest these ideas of putting women in those roles because it already has that clout or whatever you want to call it that's already been established. So it's not necessarily like saying, women live up to this. It's like give them the same platform, if that makes sense. Like, I guess like one thing that I always think about is, people said the same thing with like with black characters, or like instead of casting a black actor, make a different character and have them be their own original thing. But then those comics don't tend to sell the same way that like say Superman comics do or Batman comics do because they have that like 80-year history. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and then the other thing is I think maybe I'm just a little bit different in that I feel like I can relate to characters whether they're like male or female. So I'm one of these like kinds of people that are like gender doesn't mean that much to me. So like if James Bond were a chick, I think I'd be fine with that. If James Bond were Asian, that would be fine. If James Bond were black, like I really don't care. As long as the personality of the character stays true, then I'm cool with any recasting.
That's hard to do with a gender swap, though. To keep the person, I mean, it can be done. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's
and I'm definitely not going to get into like a big gender discussion all day, right?
But I think you have a point, Lisa, in the sense of just in this. Some characters, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and whether we like it or and when are we? Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. Some people are going to say, "Oh, how dare they do that?" It's like, guess what? You get a script, you do that, go get financing, and then you create your own movie at that point. You don't have to see it.
I don't like the Roger Moore movies, but I like the Daniel Craig ones, and some people only like the Sean Connery. So, like, I think even though we say he's a certain way, he's definitely changed.
Right.
So I could kind of see him in different, ways. Like sometimes he's a super pretty boy, sometimes he's tough, like Daniel Craig, and I think both can exist. So I think that's one of the exceptions to me, where like, kind of like Batman. We've seen Batman look so many different ways that it's like, you know, when people are like, well, what if Batman was, you know, black, or what if he was this, or what if he's, and I'm like, I think it'd be fine because we have like
God.
so many Batmen, like
yeah, I get that.
they're not
Well-
that similar.
Go for it, Katie.
Oh well, and so I do tend to agree with you, Lisa, in some cases. Like, Artemis Fowl, terrible movie, but Judi Dench as
Artemis
Commander
Fowl.
Root, who is in the books a male, like that role definitely worked for me. I think there's
Disney
I
Plus.
think there's
Oh.
yeah.
I just never know what that is. Sorry.
I haven't checked it out because people are already like, I hate this.
And I would not recommend go check out my review on Full Circle Cinema.
Will do.
It's terrible. Especially if you read the books. But like I think there's some cases where it does work where you can gender swap a role. And but for me, I'd rather have original stories created for women. And hey, maybe that's okay, if we're gonna try and pull in a 007 female edition, maybe that's God, I can't remember her name, but like the Captain Marvel girl who's 007 in the new James Bond movie, like maybe that's your opportunity to build a female 007 and try and spin it off that way. Like that's perfectly fine with me. Like
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody's got a problem with that.
No,
oh yeah,
yes.
and I
Yeah.
think both things can be true. Like I
Yes.
think that we're both right in the sense that, you know, different people view that topic differently.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
I, even though I'm all for, you know, like I said, a female James Bond, you know, any recasting of Batman, whatever, everyone has a different way of viewing that. You
With
know, so I
Shanna
think
Lynch.
I wouldn't want to get rid of original female content. You know,
No.
Right.
heck no,
Well,
I want to see that too.
absolutely
So so I'm definitely not against you.
Yeah, and
You know, I'm not.
And maybe that's coming from my perspective as someone who's had to kind of piggyback off of like male engineers and at the same time try and build my own story. Like I don't want to have someone who's been there for a while like completely back me up like the whole time. Like I want to be able to eventually get to the point where I stand on my own, and I'm still struggling with that. So maybe that's part of my.
I mean, that's an excellent point. I think, you know, that's something that's unfortunate baggage that comes with being the first or being,
Different.
you know, not highly represented in a field. You know, if the field is male dominated, then you carry this baggage of like, hey, by the way, I can stand on my own. I'm not just like the token girl here,
Yeah.
you know, and my accomplishments are my own. Like I totally feel
Which is a
that.
strange term.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've definitely struggled with. So
Yeah. Well, I can understand that for sure.
Well, you know, my thing is, I think that the position I stand on this is like there are certain characters that I would like to stay the way they are, and if you want to change the gender/race or sexuality of whatever that character is, then develop a new character based in that world and do that, and that's kind of the way I feel. But I'm also not opposed. Like I would not be upset, or I would not watch it if the character, if it didn't go that way. Like say they decided
Sure.
to do a female version of X character. That I felt maybe should just continue to be the male
So you
version.
saw
and-
2016 Ghostbusters then, right?
I did. I actually owned that movie,
Just
and I
give
thought
a
it was
shit.
pretty
I
good.
was
It was
giving
pretty
a
funny,
shit.
man. It was a funny movie.
Yeah,
I got that movie for
it didn't
free,
meet
but-
my expectations, but it wasn't anywhere like near as bad as like I refused to see it. I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm seeing all these reviews. That's gonna bum me out. I'm not gonna watch
Right.
it. And then I finally watched it, and I was like, I mean, maybe
pretty
because
good.
my expectations were lowered, but I was like,
Maybe
wasn't
maybe.
that bad to me.
But I
Could've been a
think
lot
I
worse.
think that anybody of any race, any sexuality, any gender can do anything that the other one can. I really do. It's just a matter of opportunity, man. You know, I think the
Yeah.
best quote I ever heard is that talent is passed out equally, but opportunity is not. And that's a
Yeah.
very good point. You know, and
Yeah.
I heard it off a commercial, I think, for some community college, I think, but it's a great quote. It's a great quote, you know?
Hey, if
It
it's
really
a good
is, you
quote,
know?
it works.
So,
like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Lisa, like to your point, like I'm like, I know this is dumb, but like Voltron, the one from the '80s cartoon.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they did a remake on Netflix, and they changed
Yeah,
pitch to
so
a
good.
female, and it was so natural, and it just fits so good. Like I said, I'm not opposed to it, but I think there's, like you guys were saying, there's got to be that fine balance. So they built Alora up, which was already the character. You know what I mean? She was the head of the team basically, but you know what I'm saying. And then they did the gender, but it was all natural and it all fit. Like I said, I think there's a good balance between both.
right.
I
you
think the
have to have
thing
a good
that
balance.
matters is that the character development in the
Oh,
story is
yes.
good.
And that's
You know,
man, the
That
characters
always
in
makes a big difference.
Exactly.
If you
I
guys
want a good
haven't watched
story.
that, I know I've been saying it, but that is an excellent show.
It's
It
so
was
good.
excellent.
We watched all of it.
Voltron?
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
Yeah,
Okay.
my
Voltron,
husband
Legendary
loved
Defender.
Voltron, so
Yes.
I don't think I was as into it as he was, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot, and I just love
I
that.
need to get your husband on the podcast. Then.
There you go. Yeah, he should. I know
He's there. Bring him in here. Come
he's
on.
playing
You know
video
he's
games
there.
right now.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
there, but
and-
he's playing video games. He
I
can't
know.
hear us.
Real quick before you go, Katie, let me reel this in real quick.
Sorry,
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
we're
true.
way
We have
the fuck
other
out there,
topics.
guys. We're way
let me
out there.
reel this in real quick because I just realized that it's 9:57 and I gotta go feed my pig. That is not a euphemism. If it was a euphemism, I'd say I gotta go feed my hog.
I appreciate you looking after
Yeah,
me.
but I'm just saying. But I'm just saying. So, real quick, get back into Indiana Jones and talk to me
We're
about
done with
anything
that.
else you want to talk about Indiana Jones. And Chris, I was gonna go with Sarah, but she's busy. I'm gonna go Chris. Start us out. Anything else you want to talk to Indiana Jones, or actually Sarah, you're there now. Get us started.
Sarah.
Anything you want to bring up? I'll be right back. I gotta feed Vic.
Well, I mean, just to kind of, talking about the Indiana Jones with the female aspect. The one thing that kind of popped in my head, which I know this is kind of like off tangent because this character didn't show up until about what mid '90s, Lara Croft. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
Tomb
always
Raider.
thought of her as kind of like the female version of Indiana Jones.
She is, but she's not worried
That's a
about putting
great
it
point.
in a museum. She's a tomb raider.
That's
Right.
true. This
look,
is true.
It just kind of took off the news that, I've always
No, but
you know,
you're right.
I've always thought, her origin story in essence is kind of, well, I mean, a little bit different, but still.
Yeah,
Yeah. Great.
I see that. I love Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The games are great.
Yeah, we played the games growing up too. Like my friend
Mm-hmm.
that I was talking about earlier, she played all the games. I would watch her play them, and like
I remember when it
we
came up
loved-
with PS2. It was like
we
the
loved
greatest
the Angelina
day
Jolie
ever.
movie. Like looking back, I'm like, it was okay, but I loved it. So
And I think that's where it's getting to, the relaunch of Tomb Raider, that was outstanding and amazing.
Oh, yeah, I
They
like
keep
that
on
one.
The new one was good.
they keep on trying to get Uncharted onto the big screen, which is basically
yeah,
a updated version of Indiana Jones in a different way.
Well,
He's
let's
not
team them
to your
up.
to your point. It's not necessarily getting things in the museum. He's a thief. He's trying to sell stuff at that point, but. It's been a very tough movie. I mean, that game franchise trying to get this onto the big screen has had so many different restarts, and I think now it's with Tom Holland
Flash.
playing a younger version of it, which I'm kind of like, not what I was looking for, but
yeah.
it's
I'm Holland out.
Well, it's got Daisy Ridley in it too, doesn't it?
Sure, we'll go with yes. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
No, I mean you're probably right, but it's just I don't get it's the problem that the game, going back with just it's been a hard, and you and I said it before, Lisa, when we were doing the Ghostbusters one. It's lightning in a bottle moment where
Mhm.
it's been very difficult to replicate Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
and it's not saying it can't be done. And again, I'll say go ahead and try to reboot it at that point if you want.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
I'd rather them. If the script has been this troubled, if the direction has been this troubled, I would rather not have it than to force something on screen and Harrison Ford go out as Indiana Jones in not
right.
the best light. I hate that the last time we see him
Right.
is in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. However,
Yeah.
it would be far, far worse to do something that's forced. And I think that's one of the problems they've had. I mean, how many screenwriters, how many things? I would rather just say, we're not going to do it. We're going to put it to bed for a while. We're going to try to do something different, and so be it. But there's just something about this franchise that no one has done a great job reigniting since Last Crusade.
But-
Great
Yeah,
point.
Yeah,
It's a great
I agree
point.
with you.
Yeah, but to that point, I think you had with James Mangold coming in instead of Steven Spielberg. I think when you have James Mangold,
Let's tread lightly here.
especially
Come on now.
after the success of Logan. Like
Mhm.
Logan was a phenomenal movie,
Yes.
and that's a great ending to a character right there.
Oh, yeah.
So
True, that wasn't his own character, so he's
So we're doing
proving
Old
up
Man
and-
Indie.
Yeah,
We're doing Old Man Indie, and
We are
That's where
doing.
we're
We've
going.
been in Old Man.
Well,
Indy
it
for
better
a
not
while.
be a
Right.
bummer though.
Yeah, we don't need to kill Indy off at that point. I think I'm excited for James Mangold. I think it's awesome. I think it's one of those. Would I like to see Steven close out his character?
The Last Crusade.
What's that?
So let's basically make it like the Last Crusade. Only this time he's playing not the same, but like he starts reliving it. And he's like, you get little scenes. I don't know. Now I'm just talking shit. I'm making a movie. I don't know. I'm just gonna watch what they do.
It's whatever it is. I want it to be good. I want it to be a good way to finally send out the character the way it needs to be.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and I saw something earlier today actually where it said like, okay, instead of having Shia LaBeouf come in to replace Indiana Jones from number 4, like bring Short Round in and have Short Round Fedora. Like
that would be fun.
Like
people would shit their pants if Short Round came back.
I always say in that movie that I want to adopt him, that I have never wanted children, but when I see Temple of Doom, I want to adopt Short Round.
You call him Dr. Jones. I love that.
Dr. Jones!
Dr. Jones! Love Short Round.
I think that would be a great move. You have him play the X-23 realm. Like, maybe it's an exact replica of Logan, but I mean, I love Logan. Every time I see that movie,
we all do.
I cry, and that's kind of what I want to see for Harrison Ford in his last go round. Like, do I want to see Indiana Jones die? No.
No, please don't.
Do I?
I don't want to cry in that Indiana Jones movie.
No. Let's have you go out on a high note.
Unless it's Tears of Joy.
How about he finds what's something that's been lost forever, and let's make it the greatest find in history, and that's how Indy goes out, and then the movie's just over, and it's a happy ending, and we're done.
And they're like, "Oh, he drank an elixir. He lives forever." The end.
Yes.
And I think one of the best stories that hasn't been adapted, and they turned it into a game. They made it a great comic of it. It's the Fate of Atlantis. I think that's one of the best. That's one of the best. That's one of the best ones that have yet been seen on screen. But they've done a game. They've done a comic. I would like to see an adaptation of that on the big screen.
Sorry, y'all.
I agree with that.
Texting Travis. Sorry, y'all. He's about to jump on, but he wanted to wait till we got done with Indiana Jones. So.
We're not done yet. Yeah. We're going to talk for another 2 hours.
Yeah. We got to see more of Chris's swag that he has, his Indiana Jones swag.
Yes.
Oh, there's
I want to go to bed at some point.
No, you can't.
You sleep
not
when you're
allowed.
dead.
It's Friday night, no bedtime.
You can sleep when you die. You're
trying to hang with us.
God damn it.
But okay, so real quick, everybody, anything else you want to bring up about Indiana Jones? And if there isn't anything, go ahead and give me your last final thoughts, because we've got a ton more stuff to cover. so I want to go ahead and get started on this stuff. So anybody else?
Raise your hand if you love this movie. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll raise a second hand for Matt.
I raised 2 hands. You can raise 4 hands on your side. He should be there.
Wasn't it Matt's first time seeing it?
Yes, this was Matt's first time seeing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a treat.
Good.
How did you like it?
He said he liked it. So.
Good.
Good deal. Okay.
He passed the test.
It's exactly.
Beeman Travis.
Let me send Travis a text. Let him know. Go ahead and hop on. But
I thought he was in the waiting room.
Well, he told me he was, but he hasn't responded in like 3 minutes. So I mean, it's
Come on, Travis, get your shit together.
It's that lag with the Canadian texting, Like I'm sure he gets his messages like 35 seconds after I send it. So, but no. So Indiana Jones. It's a phenomenal movie. We covered the first one right here, Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're going into what's the next one? Temple of Doom.
Temple of
Doom is going to be the beginning.
Not chronologically, but
yes.
Okay. But in the order which they came out. Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to be covering a Temple of Doom the beginning of next month, and this is our next movie series to cover. So we're going to be on this for the next at least 4 months,
including the 4th one. We will be
covering the 4th one. Yes, even if it's garbage, you have to cover what is garbage.
I don't think it's garbage. It's not great, but it's not garbage.
Okay.
It's definitely the last of the series.
Okay.
It's got some good stuff in it.
I'm gonna need to mix whiskey and wine again for that one.
Oh no.
That's my kind of math right there.
That's terrible.
I like that.
You just don't remember the night. When were we going to record? We did last night, Katie.
Okay, the Rise of Skywalker commentary though,
oh boy,
that one's a blur, honestly. So.
That was a great time though. That was a great time.
Hey, Travis says he's coming home from a brewery, so he's going to be hammered when he gets here, which is
Oh.
awesome.
He's gonna be chocolate wasted.
Oh shit!
I like it. Chocolate wasted is perfect description, Chris. I love that. Because Grumps is a great movie. Love those movies. If you are an adult and you have kids, that is a great movie to refer to.
Well, just getting started talking about how Jordan's the GOAT and stuff.
No.
We're
only talking about that on our shows. Like, we decided we're going to stop talking about that because he knows I won. He's not on there, so he can't defend himself. But, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you have anything else to say about Indiana Jones, get it out now. The first Raiders of the Lost Ark, because we're about to wrap this one up, and let's start talking some news. Anybody
Even
got
if I
anything?
hate Crystal Skull, I'm so happy we get to see Marion again. So like that's
Yes.
my
Yeah.
Point.
Marion is my favorite.
Karen Allen, just
Yes.
awesome.
She's
Every
the best.
every time I watch Indiana Jones now, I always go back to Big Bang Theory, where Raj and God damn it, what's his name?
Howard.
Howard, yeah. They sing that song Thor and Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
It's about Thor and Indiana Jones teaming up, and I sing that song in my head every time, and I'm like, I would love to see that
Dr.
movie. Let's get Thor and Dr. Jones together in a movie, because that would be the shit.
Look,
Come on,
Travis
Disney,
is,
let's make it happen.
Travis is watching the YouTube stream. He said, I only had 3 beers.
Oh,
He must be watching what we're
I'm
doing,
only
so-
3 in dog beers.
Right, exactly.
dog.
I don't know. Some of those beers can be a little strong.
Well,
Depends
bring
on what
it on.
he,
Yeah, I mean
partakes
they're craft
They're
beers,
craft
so
beers, exactly.
higher
Yeah.
ABV.
Way better than regular beer. So, way more expensive, too.
absolutely.
But, all right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up Indiana Jones for this week then. We'll, Raiders of the Lost Ark. We've given our thoughts on it. We've given why we loved it and the best scenes. It's a great movie. If you've never seen the movie, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Take 2 hours. Go check this
Absolutely.
movie out. It's a
Is
fantastic
Travis
movie.
watching us while
mem-
he's driving? I just thought of that. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I just thought of that. Is he watching us while he's
Travis,
driving? Because
don't-
stop it. Pay
Canadian
attention.
laws are different, dude. Canadian laws are different.
I
Just
don't
saying.
care.
And he's on an island, so
He's
what's
on
gonna
an
happen?
island, Exactly.
I mean, I know he's not going to speed. He's on the kilometer limit or whatever. I get it.
All right, cool. Well, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some news then, y'all. We'll do some news, and then we'll go ahead and get into some more reviews. That way, we have a little bit of break. But let's do some news, and I want to talk about anything Snyder Cut y'all want to talk about that we didn't talk about last week, or that we did talk about last week. Just to reiterate it, like, talk to me about Snyder Cut stuff, because you know me, I'm a Snyder guy. Oh, what are y'all laughing at?
Katie died. You killed her.
I killed her.
She's off.
She's
I want to
done.
talk about Snyder Cut.
Fine, let's talk about Michael Keaton.
Oh, we're going to.
Talk about
We're going
Keaton.
to. But you want to go to Keaton? We'll do Keaton first. I don't care.
Yes.
Let's talk about Keaton.
I've never seen that
Nathan-
movie that he's
So
Batman in,
Michael
so.
Keaton supposedly it talks to be
Me
the
too.
Nick Fury of DC,
Mm.
which I knew I was getting
Batman
He's
is
like,
not Nick Fury.
sounds good.
I'm sorry. Batman
The-
is not Nick Fury.
Well, supposedly
Period.
he's in talks
No.
for a multiple movie deal. Now that
They
doesn't
usually
mean,
do that though. Yeah.
yeah, so it's exactly that doesn't mean they're going to pursue them, or that it's even all to get all the. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. Hey, knock it off.
Unacceptable. You're
But
fired.
it doesn't. I don't know what. Just because they signed that doesn't mean they're going to use it, and they could make him in the Flashpoint movie, which is where he's rumored to be at, and we don't know. Like Barry could just literally run by and see Barry. I mean, okay, I don't think you get Michael Keaton just run by and see him, but I'm just saying we could realistically see him just run by and take a peek into his universe, and then if people really like it, they could be like, hey, you know what? This is a whole nother universe over here where your Joker's already died and Penguin, and he's been Batman for this long, and I know people are already fan casting and going, but you could realistically go Batman Beyond, or you could have him training like a junior Justice League. There's the possibilities are endless. If you get him to sign, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to keep him in this current universe. You can have him in the '89 universe and do something else with what you want.
Nathan.
Well,
Wow,
the latest rumor now says that he will be in costume, but
No,
Yeah.
no, Nathan, you did not bring the thunder I thought you were going to bring. You were one of the only people who agreed with me that I do not want to see Michael Keaton in a Batman suit again ever. Period.
Oh, I never said
Not that I don't think he was a good Batman.
Oh, I'll watch
His
that right
time
now.
is done. I do not want to see
Well-
Michael Keaton in a Batman suit. And
But what if they do it-
I have already seen a Batman or a Bruce Wayne that is an advisor to a team.
What if
Watch-
he's in
watch
the mechanical
Titans.
suit?
Okay.
What if he's in the mechanical
You
suit?
want to go? You want to
where-
go the
like,
DCCW
the
crossover?
Kingdom,
Yeah.
The Kingdom Come. What if you go the Kingdom Come and he's in the mechanical suit and like suits up with that because he is old and he's beat the hell up, but he's got to have a little help. We don't know how.
What
they're
if
gonna
this
do it.
gets us
What
a
if he's in the
Batman
Batman
Beyond
Beyond
movie?
suit? If he's in the Batman
No,
Beyond
okay.
suit, that thing's already powered up.
Katie, if it gets us a Batman Beyond movie or a Batman Beyond character, if I get Terry McGinnis on screen, then yes, I'm okay with that. I do not want to see Batman as Michael Keaton, period. Like, he had his time. He is Batman. I loved his movies, and he did a great job. I don't want him to be the future Batman, and I do not want him to represent
I don't
what
want
was supposed to be Ben Affleck's Batman.
I don't want him
I
to
just
be.
don't
No,
want that.
definitely don't want that shit.
Yeah.
Wait.
No.
Okay, I've never seen Keaton as Batman. I'm gonna be honest. Up front, never seen it.
That's what I
But
want to watch
what
for
if-
Slice of Film.
Because you're like
I'm
14.
calling it right now.
Katie.
I want to watch 89 Batman with you, Katie.
We got it. We got it, Nathan. I'll put you on the list.
Thank
you're,
you.
You're behind Greg.
I don't.
Oh,
Whatever.
Fifth
I'm just
Element.
saying.
That's right.
Mark me
We're doing
down.
Fifth
We're
Element.
doing that. We're
Yep.
doing that movie. I promise you.
So, I've never seen Keaton as Batman, but
Mm-hmm.
what if you only have those 30-second segments that you talked about where he's just popping in and that gets you into a Beyond? Like, we already know Robert Pattinson isn't going to be the DCEU Batman. It's
Right.
going to be a Joker-type spinoff.
Which-
So, what if you have Keaton being the 30-second Nick Fury cameo item, and then you have a Batman Beyond movie that gets you Terry McGinnis?
That's kind of what I was talking about. But
Travis
just in
is-
his own back in his own universe. He could still check in the Flashpoint and be like, "Hey, just save one person and go or
Right.
whatever," and then he could go right back to his universe. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, we know Thomas Wayne isn't going to be in there, so you have to.
No, Thomas Wayne
There-
is going to be in there. That is in the casting call. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
They've gone so many times on record and say that was a very old idea. It's a ship
Yeah.
to sail.
So
Look,
Thomas
I'm-
Wayne
I'm-
hasn't
I have
been
no
in the
problem being
script
wrong.
for. Thomas
Yeah.
Wayne hasn't been in the script for 4 or 5 years for the Flash movie.
You
So
can't do
what
a
if?
Flashpoint without Thomas Wayne. I'm sorry.
Yes, you
But
can.
what if you have a Bruce Wayne and?
For all fairness,
and-
the Flash season 3 did it. For better or for worse.
And so, what if you have Bruce Wayne instead of Thomas, and Bruce went through it and is there, but it's an older Bruce Wayne, and
What
then
if
you
Bruce
have
Wayne's
Terry
the Joker?
McGinnis.
Look, as a lover of that story, okay, I did a podcast on that story a few weeks ago, and I love that story. It's a great movie, animated. It's a great comic book. You take away the meaning of that comic book if you take away Thomas Wayne. You just do.
I think you missed the meaning of the book.
No,
if
you
you
do.
think it's about Thomas Wayne.
I think you do. That book is about Bruce Wayne and Thomas Wayne and Barry Allen. Those are the three characters in that book that movie and that book is about.
Our
Period.
focal point and our main character is Barry. The side characters, yes, while they might be elevated, that book
But-
is about Barry and his mistake
okay.
and what he did.
Okay.
The
And
DCEU,
the consequences of their sorry. Go ahead.
the DC television universe and the DC film universe, for whatever you want to call it, the multiverse of television and film, like, they've never been about fully adapting a storyline. They've always been about adapting it for their purposes. So everyone's been saying the Flash movie is going to reset the DCEU. So what if you get Terry McGinnis instead of your Batman?
No, I don't
okay,
like that.
I'm okay with
I don't like that.
I'm okay with Terry McGinnis only because he's never been on screen before. He's never been
Right,
live
it would be
action.
cool.
It is a
It would
great
be
way to
cool.
develop the character into a new thing, but it's very difficult to, if you're going to have this whole universe connected, to have Terry McGinnis as the Batman in the Justice League that is in the Justice League movies. Like, I think it is kind of an injustice to Bruce Wayne and Batman if you do that. Like, I want to see Terry McGinnis on the screen, but I also want to keep Bruce Wayne there. Like, I want to see more Bruce Wayne, more Batman, original Batman, in the original storyline of what's going on before I see a Terry McGinnis.
That's
Terry
why you
McGinnis
have
is
the
fine.
Batman.
Huh?
That's why you have the Batman.
Anyway. Sarah, what do you think?
Yes, I want to hear
I'm
from Chris
just enjoying
eventually.
hearing, hey, you're talking your Batman. I mean, I'm just enjoying that.
am
I don't
Batman.
really know what to say right now. I think I'm just still in the awe and shock that Keaton is signing up to do this. So I'm
67 years old.
I'm just kind of sitting back. Well, I mean, he was Vulture in
Sure.
the Spider-Man movie, so I mean, he's still got his
70's the
going
big
on.
55. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
when you're in Hollywood.
So I'm just kind of just sitting back and just waiting. It's one of those things where I don't want to put too much into it. I just want it to just naturally evolve, honestly, because I'm still in shock.
I hear you. I mean, the way it works out naturally is going to be the way we're going to take it anyway. But I hope that it works out naturally the way we want to. So, Lisa.
Well, I mean, I automatically thought Flashpoint. That was what I automatically thought.
See, I don't think the Flashpoint is the movie they should do for Flash. Period. I want to see a Flashpoint movie, but not the first movie. Like,
I mean, it may not be, but I mean, at some point,
he needs to earn that right. He needs to earn the right to want to go back to his mother.
You can easily do it as his first story is him not realizing because he's still learning and he F's up big time. He literally blows up the timeline the first time he thinks he could do something. Like, you can do it both ways.
That means that you think that he can change time as soon as he discovers his powers, which I don't feel like
and he knows how big of consequences there are.
No,
he discovers it. Like, he sees how bad he fucks up and he goes, you know what? I can't time travel because look at what I did. When I first got off the job, I literally blew up the timeline and the world was ending because I created World War III. Like, I cannot time travel again.
Well, and so you have Cisco in DCCW creating the ability for the Flash to get drunk. What if you have something similar where...
Yes.
Where,
that's pretty hilarious.
When you stop watching
Ben Batman sends him a potion and says, here you go, here's how you get drunk. And so he just randomly thinks, okay, I need to get my dad out of prison, and goes back in time.
That's hilarious.
But Flashpoint's not about his dad getting out of prison.
Mom in the DCEU. We don't know anything about it. We only know that he has been visiting his dad constantly in prison.
That's why they need the first movie to not be Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough development there.
Yeah.
I agree, but I'm just saying it can be done.
Oh, it can be.
You've been holding your tongue patiently there.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, real quick.
The biggest thing I remember from the Flash, from the DCU is that he cares most about his dad and has been visiting him. So, I mean, that's fine for me if he just goes back and says, "Oh fuck, what am I gonna do? I need to get my dad up." Look, he doesn't want me to visit him anymore. If he wants me to have a real job.
If that one scene in Justice League convinced you that he went and visited his dad all the time, you are sadly mistaken. Okay, not that he didn't care about his dad, but that is not a huge thing in the comics. Him going and visiting his dad. As a matter of fact, in the show, I don't think he. Well, his dad's dead, right? Or his dad dies.
Yeah.
You don't ever get to see that. Spoilers, yeah. You never get to see that. So for me, that is not as big of a thing. I don't care more about his dad and being in prison and necessarily dying. The fact of his mom and him saving that is more of what Flashpoint to me is about. Not necessarily his dad.
His dad was alive for a time on the show. His dad was alive and got out of prison.
Right.
Well, and I did the Flashpoint review with you, Greg. I know that's how that happens.
No,
I watched the show up until the past. Yes, I did. I watched the show up until the past season. I know the basics of how Flash works if I've never read the comics or whatever. But I'm saying for what you have in the DCEU, the dad being present. The dad being present and being visited and saying, you need to go get a real job. And then Flash falling on Wonder Woman's boobs is the only thing I remember.
Oh, yeah.
You won't see that in Zack Snyder's Justice League. You won't see that. You won't see that.
Boom.
Yeah. Well, real quick, before I introduce the character that came in, my homeboy Travis, T-Bone, Lisa, what do you think about this? Because I know you were about to say something a couple times.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I don't think I have that many feelings about him being Batman again. I mean, it's a really iconic role that he played. It's, a version of Batman that I feel like most people agree was good.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I certainly loved 1989 and Batman Returns, so I'm not opposed to it. I don't know what capacity he returns to the character as, and I feel like we could really, really worry about it, or we could just wait. And I think I'm in the waiting.
I agree.
I like the way you I like the way
I want to see what we're doing.
I don't want to get too worked up until I see what's going to happen. And then I might get worked up. We'll see, though.
I think I said that last
I
week,
said this on Lisa's podcast. I judge Lovebirds by its trailer, and I try not to do that. Like,
Yeah, I hear
I'm
that.
gonna go see it no matter what. Like, if I'm interested in the overall concept, I'm gonna see it. But
Yeah.
especially if you look at Lovebirds trailer versus what the movie you got is, the two don't compute.
What the hell are you talking about? I don't see enough movies, obviously.
I love that movie. Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
see enough movies.
I hear. Well, so here we go. Let's go ahead and introduce our next guest, or not guest, but host here. That's coming in late. T-Bone, what's up, buddy? You walked right into
Travis,
the.
get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whoa. It was.
He's
it
been
was
drinking
date night.
craft
It
brews
was
all
date
night.
night.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, yuck.
What is that?
Dildo. What the fuck?
Dildo Brewing Company.
That's the name of the brewery. That's
I
the
like
name
it.
of the brewery.
I
There's
like
actually a town. There's actually a town named that. Here.
I hear you.
You say you
get
can
a
live in
few tourists.
Dildo?
Yeah,
You can live in Dildo? That's
Well,
Is the
I can't
beer
believe I've never
good?
told you that before.
we know
Oh,
now
still.
that Travis can take like 4 dildos a night, easy.
Oh, stop it!
I mean, easy.
Stop it!
So, and he's
Block-
still here
block right into
smiling.
that
So, yeah, he is going to punch me in the face virtually for that. But
What's the best beer there? Like, what's your favorite one that they have?
I'm nowhere near a beer connoisseur.
Oh, okay.
I basically picked this one's Blind Route 80. I don't know, 5% alcohol.
I love
Mhm.
blonde. Yeah,
It tasted
I
good.
mean, I
little
like
sweet.
blondes, especially in the summer.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
are really
blondes
good.
too.
Yep.
It was just cool. It was just cool to be out. It was just cool to be out. Basically.
I don't think I meant it like Nathan
Hey.
did, but I do love blonde beers. But that way, so.
Just nice being out. Everything getting back to normal. So
What?
That's fine.
And so, what city is that in, or what city is that near? The
St. John's, Newfoundland. So that's
okay.
trying to think how exactly far that is from you guys. It's quite a way.
A long way.
6 hours probably.
No,
Not
way
flight.
longer than that.
Really?
Cool.
In a
I would
flight,
love to
maybe.
drink
I
craft
think so,
beer
dude,
in
yeah.
Canada. That would be awesome.
I would
We're
love
on our
to
own
be in
little island.
Canada.
Lisa, we only have 500,000 people here.
Dude, from
Whole-
North America.
basically for a whole state.
Yeah, from Central America. Well, not even Central America. From the middle of the country, height-wise, in North Carolina, it would take me.
Sarah's drinking.
It would take me 12 hours. To get
I know.
there.
I'm like,
Easy.
should I go get something to
You
drink?
should.
I'm like the only one.
You should.
Okay,
All right,
I will go
talking
do
about
that
the
then.
craft beers.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like one of my favorite local beers.
Well,
so.
T-Bone, I'm gonna open it up with you, man. We're talking about right now Michael Keaton. I know you said you didn't want to do it, but I'm gonna make you do it because that's how I roll. So, give me some thoughts on Michael Keaton. I know we had a big discussion about this Monday on DC Alliance, but give me a few thoughts on Michael Keaton before we move on.
I'm excited if they don't make it just a little 30-second, minute and a half cameo. If it's something like The Flash was on Crisis on Infinite Earths, I won't be as happy.
No,
But if it's
nobody
actually
would be as happy about
integral
that.
role for the I won't. Okay, I would enjoy it, but I would be a little disappointed because
Yeah.
I kind of want it to be just a little bit of a crucial to the plot, maybe, and set him up for potentially doing a Batman Beyond movie going forward. But I'm just going to take it. There's no details, so I'm just going to wait and
Okay.
try to not get my expectations too high.
Well, hey.
Okay, guys,
before...
I got.
Oh,
this
nice! I love it.
Ooh.
I love it.
Nice.
Well, real quick, Travis, we were talking about this before you got on. How important is it to you to have Thomas Wayne in a Flashpoint movie?
Not, I would prefer it, but it's director's choice, like creator's choice.
get
I'm
outta
gonna
here,
go
man.
into.
Thank you,
He's the
Travis.
crux of
I
that
knew that.
movie.
I knew
He's the
Travis
point of that
of all
movie.
people
He's one of
wasn't
them.
gonna jump on your side with that.
Okay. Okay.
You can't,
Hey,
you can't preach it for Zack Snyder when he makes changes
Exactly.
to things, and then not
Exactly.
preach it for other things. I know,
Exactly.
Greg. Sorry for letting you down, buddy.
No, I feel you.
Also,
I feel you.
we had a designated driver.
You just keep your sword.
I heard you guys. We had a designated driver, and Nathan, they had Robert Queen as kind of like Tom Wayne for Flashpoint. You didn't see him; he was only on it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Travis.
Sorry,
was
Greg,
up
I let you down. I feel so bad.
No, you didn't let me down, man, dude. I am totally down.
Thanks for backing
different
me up,
opinions.
Travis.
Yeah, exactly. You back somebody up here, you know.
Yeah, you're the man.
All right, cool. Well, Chris, man, what do you think, man? Do you think I'm going to ask this question to everybody? Do you think Thomas Wayne is a key point to Flashpoint, or do you just it doesn't really matter to you. For me, like I said, I love this book and this story. It's a key point for me. Thomas Wayne has to be in there.
The problem with
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne is what are they going to do with it after?
You don't need to do anything with that after.
Yes,
No.
you do. No.
Okay,
Let me
Sorry.
finish in the sense of where are we? Spoiler alert! 3, 2, 1. Who is getting the letter at the end? That's what I mean by what's the impact of it. You know,
Yeah.
again, it's one of those things
Okay.
that's what I mean by like that's the biggest impact of Thomas Wayne, not what Tom King has done, not what everything else. That's a whole different ballgame. I'm not going to get into. It's who is getting that letter at the end. What Batman is getting that letter. You know, I saw some pretty cool fan created stuff of Michael Keaton's Batman getting that letter. It's one of those things of we have to see that the Thomas and Martha's death has always been a huge impact on Bruce at that point, but it's a matter of we haven't. It's almost like I saw a bigger impact of his father in Christian Bale's and Nolan's universe than I did in many other. He would always refer back to the whole incident of like the fall and
Why do we fall?
Why do we fall and different things like
That's
that.
one line. Give me one more.
What's that?
That's one
What's that?
line.
No,
Why do we fall? Give
I
me
agree
one
with you,
more.
Chris.
No, but you also see him many times going back to him putting the steps go to his heart at that point.
I am.
And so that again, I'm just saying that's the impact of Thomas Wayne is that letter. Who is getting that letter at the end?
Well,
Whatever, Chris. Go out
What-
and swing, man.
good, Chris. Sorry.
The whole thing with Keaton at that point, Keaton never got to close out Batman the way he wanted. He some people are saying, oh, he left it. No, he left it because he didn't like what was going on with Burton.
Schumacher.
He didn't like the way the script was going. You know, he left it, and he has always been someone. I mean, in the graduation speeches, I'm Batman. That's the 2 words I want. The 3 words I want you to remember. He has loved this character and has embraced it. You know, just because it is, and whatever way we get it, 30 seconds. I'm kind of with you. I've never seen. Okay, Batman 66, always climbing a wall. There's never a way to get rid of a bomb. It's one of those ways that. Oh, I think it's a shame that we have gotten these leaks without any kind of reference point, and so
Agreed.
we're all
Yeah.
all losing our minds over it. We don't have a direction. I was kind of like talking to Travis about it. Is that if we're going to be connected, great. If we're not going to be connected, great. I just want to know where we're going with this, and I like that it all started with Snyder's universe, letting him finish it out in at least a Justice League, that we're getting some of this, but we don't know where DC's heading at this point. I think that's where we all got to like pump the brakes a bit and just see exactly. I'd like to see some sort of where we headed. Like, where is all this going to... I don't need them spelling out everything for me. I just want to see where this is all going. Give me Keaton in just to see him. Yeah, Greg, I'm kind of like you. I don't see a Nick Fury just because I've never seen a Batman like that. I've never seen that. But yeah, I'm with you. I would love a Batman Beyond. I would love a Terry McGinnis. You know, I just think there's so many different rumors flying around. I'm just going to sit back and say, when we start getting some real confirmations and we start seeing some filming happen, I mean, for crying out loud, this Flash has been trying to jumpstart for so many different ways. Great. Let's get
Chris.
Keaton in there. Let's bring him in.
Well,
How are you going to be a podcast host and not fly off the handle irrationally at this kind of news? You cannot be neutral and level-headed and calm, or else the whole goddamn show is going down the tube.
I'll cover that for everybody. I'll be irrational.
You know what? At that point, I'll say they broke the mold when they made me, buddy.
There you go.
I heard. Well, Chris,
Let's get nuts.
I have one question about that, Chris. Real quick, Grady, before you get started. I
Okay.
have one question, and that you were talking about how the Michael Keaton thing. It's not a big deal what he plays, but
Well, I didn't say that. I said in the sense of like it's what capacity it is. I'm with you. I've never seen a Nick Fury like in that sense.
okay.
But I would love to see Keaton just to get to close it out. He's not going to agree to something. Keaton's not one to just agree just to get a paycheck at this point.
No.
I have not seen him in many times.
What'd you
do
see
that.
so soul in, Greg?
He doesn't need it.
No, I mean, he
doesn't
doesn't
need
need
it at
it,
this
but at
point.
the same time, that doesn't mean we can't judge him and say that he's not just reaching for the money, because here's the thing: is if you're gonna have him in there, like you said, you don't necessarily. He doesn't have to play Bruce Wayne. Who's he going to play then? Who is going to get that letter?
What do you mean? I said like didn't have to.
You mean Thomas Wayne?
Thomas Wayne? No. Bruce Wayne got the letter. He's the one that got the letter.
That's what you said. I think you meant Thomas.
No, I think I meant
No.
Michael
I
Keaton
see what you're
playing
saying.
Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. He's taking what I said in the sense of like it depends on who gets the letter for the impact of it to really reach something.
right. Because I feel like in that story, the letter is the most heart pulling moment. It's what that kind of story is about. Even though it's very in the end, and realistically, it does not matter that much to begin with. But if you're going to have Michael Keaton play a Batman, you have to have a Bruce Wayne receive that letter from Thomas Wayne, or the story doesn't make sense.
Well, I'll disagree with you on one sense. That is one of the heart pulling. I think even bigger is because Harry talking to his mom, knowing that the end of it's going to have to come.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yeah.
You can just cut out that whole side plot, actually, if you're planning on doing some sort of multiverse. You can cut out that whole delivering the letter, encountering Thomas Wayne. You can cut out that whole thing because, like Chris said, ultimately the main thing is Flash back in time.
Why?
Back in time.
Travis, you just destroyed
But
it.
great.
That's the last
Greg
10
is a
pages of
villain
the
of his
book,
own, it
man.
seems.
No, you don't do that. Sorry.
Greg, he goes back in time to save his mom, and ultimately realizes I gotta go back and let her die so that things can go back the
I
way
get
it
that.
was.
Yeah, you can write a story about that.
And
You're right.
that's the
You're
most
right.
heartbreaking thing in that story is that even though he has all these powers, he really can't change
He
things
still can't save her.
without there being consequences.
I get that. Good point. But
Mhm.
Lisa, you got anything to say about this? Do you want Michael Keaton as Batman? Basically, do you want to see him again?
Yeah, I'm on board. I think I agree with what you guys are saying about. I mean, for me, you would have to completely remove that whole plot from Flashpoint. Travis had a good point about you could take that out of the plot because it's a second emotional beat to the bigger one with his mother. So that's true. But like I said, I think if we focus on just what he would have to do with Flashpoint, then yeah, I think it needs to be the way that it is in the comics. But since we don't have all the information yet, I don't want to get too worked up about it just because, I mean, I just love that part of Flashpoint, so I just don't want to be upset. Maybe it's just me not wanting to go there.
I'm right there with you.
Right.
Expectations. Don't get the expectations too high.
Yeah.
So, and what if you have it where he's just drunk and decides to go back in time and just change things? Like, there's not even an emotional connection to a father or a mother attached to it.
Oh,
What
no.
happens
But
then?
that's totally changing
I
the
get
story.
it, but
I'm gonna
I'm
have a
very
problem with
attached to the
Flashpoint's caused by
Flashpoint
him
story.
being
If
drunk.
they
Yeah.
do Flashpoint, I want them to do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
if I wasn't as attached to it, then I could see your angle.
Drunk Barry,
But I just would
right.
want them to call it something else. But
And
that's just
fine
because
with
I'm a
that,
big
like-
fan of that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Flash
not
is
like
drunk again is what we'll call it.
So if they call it Flash time travel, oh shit! Like,
Call it. Damn it, Barry.
No,
I would
no,
definitely see Flash time travel. Oh shit, that would like legit be the best title.
But it would
That's
not be the
even
Flash
better
one.
than the Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. So.
There you go. But it would
I would
not
definitely
be the
see that
Flashpoint.
movie.
I mean, it's just there's certain things like I know that in movies they do now they draw from stories and they kind of diverge from the original storyline, which is fine because I realize that animated on comics and in live action is
Sure.
not possible to do the exact same things. I get that. Diverge from the story. But there is a line you have to draw about how far they diverge from the story. You know?
Well, sure.
Like, at what point do you not call it Flashpoint? Just like Civil War. At what point do you not call it Civil War? It's basically Civil War in the fact that
It was
it
a
had,
civil war, though, between
well,
their
it's
friends.
ba-
It was
hold
between
on.
them.
It's
Uh-oh.
it's basically Civil War in the fact that you
I see where
had
this is
two
going.
factions against each other of superheroes, and they were fighting. Other than that, there is nothing about Civil War that is like the actual.
No.
comic
I'm
book.
going to disagree with you on that.
Okay,
You're missing
disagree
a
with
key
me.
part of it.
Disagree with me,
The
okay?
Accords.
No, you got
Well,
a
the
registration
Accords,
act,
okay,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Give you that.
Mhm.
Okay, but if that is your
That was
only
the main
argument,
plot
then,
point of
then
Civil War. Well,
that
that
is
was
a
the
very
catalyst of
small
Civil
part of
War.
what happened in Civil War. Like that is not
That's
a very
the
strong
catalyst
argument.
for
You know?
Civil War, though.
Huh?
That's the catalyst.
Yeah.
That is the catalyst. That's
That's
where
the
you
biggest
get
thing in
No,
Civil
no,
War
no,
is
no,
the
no. If
registration.
you read the book, the catalyst is what happens with the Thunderbolts. That is the catalyst.
No.
That
Civil
kid,
War.
it's with that speedball
No. That
is
kid
a
or
catalyst.
whatever. When
Yes, it
speedball
is.
blows up.
Chris, I'm coming on the show with you and covering Civil War. We're
It's-
doing it. I don't
it's-
care. And
it's-
you're going to prove me wrong because you're way smarter than me.
Well, no,
So-
no. I'm saying that you're with the Thunderbolts. What happens? But the biggest thing is the Registration Act. That's what starts it all. Registration,
Yeah.
the, act,
Because
the
that's where
Registration
Steve
Act.
draws his
Okay.
line. That's when Steve says,
Yeah.
"I refuse."
Oh, I'm
And that's
so
when Iron
coming
Man
on,
says what
on
we
World's
got
Finest
to.
True Believers and coming Civil War. Oh, it's happening. But
It's happening.
it's happening. I'm
It's all
calling it.
That's a
happening.
good read.
I don't own
That's
that
a good
show, but I'm
read.
calling it. Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, you know, I just feel like Flashpoint, if you're going to give it that title, should at least hit the main points of the a
Yeah, I
story,
agree.
You know, you can change certain things. You have to, because drawing from page to make big screen is different. It's always going to be different, and there are things you
Sure.
can't do that you can do on big screen. That's why I love getting into animated with Travis here on Superhero Discussions. is There are things you can do in animated versions that you can't do in real life versions, in live action. And it totally changes the game up. But you still have to somewhat walk that line. You know? Like, you can't walk away from that line so much. And me personally, I feel like Civil War is one of those that did that. I feel like Civil War, minus name and the fact that you're having characters that love each other fight, there's not really a whole lot with the comic that it has to do with. Which is fine, because they gave a great story and it was really good. But I'd rather see a more accurate story to what the original source material was. Just me personally.
But if you have a coming from your perspective, Greg, if you have a Civil War rendition to where they have the basics of time travel, the story changes, but they don't call it Flashpoint, they call it time travel. Oh shit! Like you said earlier, like
Which we
that's
also
going
do
to
there.
be fine.
Oh,
If
shit.
They don't put the Flashpoint title on this, but they still have kind of the same concepts and pull the aspects. Is that going to throw you off?
For me personally, yes.
No.
As a lover of the original content, yes, because I know that happened.
Ooh.
If
No,
I'm
great.
if I'm GA, if I am a person that does not know a lot about it, I'm going to see the movies because I love seeing comic book movies. It doesn't matter to me, and that honestly is what they should market towards, because I am 10% of the market, and 90% of the market is people who don't know a lot about the background of this. So they should market to that, but it's not.
Well, how many times have we been disappointed by from movies, from based off of books, whether comic books or novels or whatnot? So
Yeah, I get
They fucking men.
Yeah, because
There's our
let's
first
take Rise of
F-bomb.
Skywalker.
I like it.
Let's take
I like
Rise
it.
of Skywalker, for instance. Like when they had to find the Wayfinder, and all of us in the audience went Sith Holocron, and J.J. Abrams, no,
Yes.
Wayfinder.
But-
all of
but-
us in the audience went, no, Sith Holocron, and he goes, no, motherfuckers, it's a Wayfinder, and then he put it in the movie, and went, God damn it.
You're right. You're exactly right, Nathan, and that is exactly why they should not do this, in my opinion, because people like us notice that. However, I am speaking for people like us. The 7 people on here right now are all geeks. Sorry, I love y'all, but we're all geeks. So we're here on a Friday
No
night.
shame.
On a Friday night in our mid-30s,
Well,
doing
there is a
this podcast.
pandemic.
So we are all
I'm
geeks,
only 24.
okay?
They closed all the bars down here
Sorry.
in Dallas, so
Right, true. Mhm.
But no, I mean, I just feel like I'm excited for what's going to happen. I really am, and I feel like that no matter what they do, I'm going to give it a chance, and I'm going to like it more than likely. But
we're
I
gonna do
just,
it kicking and screaming.
I hope they hit the main points of that story, because there are, in that story specifically, there are main points that really, really hit home, and I want to
Yeah.
see those on the big screen.
So okay.
Don't ever look up Civil War XXX. You're going to be really disappointed. Really, really disappointed.
seriously.
So my final point on this, before I want to shut up and talk Stargirl and Doom Patrol. So what if they do what I said, where they use certain points in the time travel aspect and kind of reset everything, and then get to the point where you're 4 Flash movies down the line, and then they want to do Flashpoint.
You say theoretically, if that happened, I would love that. Like, because I feel
Yeah.
I
like
think a lot of people would.
I feel like the
If they just
Flashpoint.
take the time travel and reset the timeline now, and then do Flashpoint later, are you going to say the same thing that you're doing now? If I had said, okay, they're just going to do time travel and reset the timeline.
Well, I mean, there's a big thing there. Like if you like the first time you introduce Barry Allen to time travel and he changes the timeline, that is Flashpoint. Period. Point blank. No questions. That is the point. Okay.
In the DCCW, they call it a flashpoint.
Right.
So it's
because
like
the
there's different flashpoints.
Right, because the DCCW totally trashed on it. So
that
they
was bad.
completely took a big dump on it. I'm sorry. like they could have done so much a better job. I was so excited when I saw DCCW, and I saw
That's
Travis
graphic.
perk up there right there when I said DCCW.
Graphic.
So,
That's
but
the
no.
worst thing about that
I
was
don't
they
even
built
go
it
down
up.
those aisles, Greg. So let's come on, let's pull that shit back on the road.
This
If
is
I'm
a
not there
family
down that
show.
lane- right?
Greg, they built it.
It is?
for the
Yeah,
whole
it's that.
summer.
No, it's not.
No, they
not
built it.
technical.
No, they built it with commercials and advertisements for the whole
Yes.
summer, and then
And
produced
San Diego
a
Comic-Con.
1 week show that had nothing to do with Flashpoint, and it was a total embarrassment. I'm sorry.
I was
love
on
So-
DC.
I agree.
I was on
I agree.
DC
What?
Daily Drop talking. I was on DC Daily Drop speculating what could happen. Could it be a whole season? Will we see
Oh,
Robert
God.
Queen as a Green Arrow? Like we I think we did an 1.5 hour podcast just speculating
Everyone
what
was-
the season could be like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were
And
so
everyone-
excited.
And everyone's
And
then-
seasons was way better.
And
Happened.
everyone was disappointed. So,
Yeah.
Eddie, you
So
had your
the
hand raised.
first
Go ahead.
time, the first time he time travels is in season 1, episode 15, where
Yeah.
he reverses
in the live
tsunami.
action show, it's not like
with
that.
the
in
with the
comic.
weather wizard,
Yeah.
weather wizard, yeah.
Mhm.
We're asking you.
Yeah.
You're the CW expert, buddy.
Liam, yeah, his brother,
Mm-hmm.
the guy, the first person dies in the first episode, but his brother, that's what causes him to go back in time, and he tells Iris that he loves her before that, and she's okay with it, and then when he comes back, it's not the same.
Ooh, I
remember
forgot how much I didn't
remember
like
that.
Iris until
Yeah.
until
gave her
she
stuff
knows
to
his
do.
identity.
Me
They
too.
made her
Yeah.
such
Point,
a
you
terrible
didn't like
character in the
Iris?
first season.
She was a
Really?
Katie, Lisa, they made her a love interest, like a
Yeah.
love triangle. The same thing they did with Laurel in the first couple seasons of Arrow. It's-
When
Same thing
you
CW
make
does with every
female
character.
characters the bad guy, the mom, or the, you know what I mean, like, don't do it, or tell me all your secrets. If you don't tell me all your secrets, how can I ever love you? Oh gosh, I cannot stand that
Yes.
storyline.
Yes.
Like, don't do that to the only girl character. You know what I mean?
Well, who does that?
I love
anyway?
Iris now. Obviously, I love her, but in the first season, it was like,
Yeah,
Can
who
she
would
not?
do? Tell me every secret you have right now, or we're never going to speak again.
Right.
She's
Whoa.
supposed to
Or
be
what
his Lois
favor?
Lane.
it's like Alicity, same thing. It's like just.
Oh my god.
I love.
They should have killed Felicity
I
off in
liked
season 2.
Felicity.
Dead
Look what you
bitch.
did to her.
I love
What
how
did we
Lisa
do
was
to
talking
her?
about that, and as soon as Lisa was talking about that, Sarah swiped left. You know, I saw that. I was like, swipe left. Nope, I'm not.
Oh no! Does she like Alicity? Do you like Alicity?
I
No, it's
do.
like one of those things where it's just like you
Ugh.
smack them, just
Right.
you know.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But
I'm not of that time frame of the swiping left. No.
Yeah, right. I don't know what that is.
That's
Me
past
neither.
my-
Me neither.
I was kind of wondering what the hell he was saying, to be honest with
I'm
you.
with you,
I've been married
Sarah.
for too long.
I've never swiped any direction.
Yeah, usually it's the that's
Right.
the
I feel like I get in trouble for doing that or
Right.
something.
She's just swipe means smack.
that sounds dirty. I'm just saying, it sounds really dirty. But well, okay. Well, so anybody else got anything to say? Want to say? Anything else you want to say about the Snyder Cut? Anything else you want to say about what's going on? Flashpoint. What's going on in the future with the CW or DCEU? What we may see in the future. For me, it's kind of a wait and see game. Like I know what I want, but I don't know what I'm gonna get, and only time will tell. You know.
Temper expectations. Temper expectations.
I
I'm
just
spiking
think
them
DC
way up,
has
dude.
opportunity
Way
to. I think DC
They
has
could
the
have
ruined
opportunity to
Crisis
great,
from-
do some great things.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is now their time. I mean,
Yes.
just don't screw it
Kind of
up.
ruined Crisis for myself by having my expectations up to here.
Go back and watch Superhero Discussions, Travis's reaction video to the Crisis
Yes.
trailer.
Oh.
And you will not be able to stop smiling because it is so
No.
fantastic.
I was so
He was-
excited.
Yeah, it
He
is
was
like,
late.
it was like a kid
I don't,
watching
did
the
you
Mighty
even
Ducks
say
trailer.
anything?
Yeah,
Just,
and he did. He was like,
I
"Oh,
don't even want to. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm so
You
sad.
had to
Fantastic.
smile, and
I
that
love
was just it.
I love it."
You know, as the great philosopher Jagger once said, sometimes you can't get what you want, sometimes you get what you need.
Oh, stop it.
No, I didn't need that either, Chris. I didn't need
No.
him to die twice.
Mm-mm.
I didn't need that.
I agree. All right,
Well,
cool.
and
Good.
sorry, no. So, and I definitely agree with Sarah that DC has its time to shine right now. Like, y'all have heard me say it before. Like, I'm Marvel's formulaic movies. Like, I'm bored. Like, I want to see something different. So
Brent's head
I'm
just
excited for
exploded.
DC. Alright.
Brent's head just exploded. Boom!
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like, Marvel looks formulaic, and granted, I'm excited for Eternals. I'm excited for something that looks different, but DC has always been my baby.
I'm Team
where like,
Katie.
Same.
there's different things, and DC has its time to shine right now. Where after 11 years, Marvel has reached its peak and needs something else to keep fans strung along. DC can jump in now and say, "Okay, I'm here,
Yeah.
and I actually know what the fuck I'm doing now."
Marvel
Preach.
climaxed early, and now we're here to
Oh,
finish
yeah.
the job.
Hey,
So I'm just saying,
Hey,
you know,
sometimes-
like
I
we're
was
gonna finish the
expecting
job.
that from
DC is gonna pound it home and finish
Oh,
the job.
yeah.
Just saying.
Oh wow!
As long
lots
as
of
DC
metaphors.
doesn't
I
try
don't
to
know.
follow Marvel,
I don't know what the hell just happened there, but
DC needs to do their own
Shocking.
thing. Don't try to follow Marvel's.
exactly.
No, don't try to follow
Just
that
do your
because
thing.
when you do that, when you follow Marvel the exact same way, then you get the criticism of all you're doing is copying. Even though for years, honestly, since the existence of Marvel, they've been kind of copying DC. But we'll get into that later.
They
So,
copy
Yeah.
each other, but yeah, like
They copy each
I think
other,
when
but yeah.
Flashpoint comes out, people will be like, "Well, this is like Endgame." I mean, how are they not going to make? They saw
Right.
Endgame first.
Right, there's
so-
always going to be comparison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up any kind of DC talk, Flashpoint, Keaton. We kind of meshed those two together, which is great. 'Cause
Well,
they're-
and I
they're
mean,
kinda same
That was a
thing.
powder
Stargirl
keg,
and
man.
Doom
Yeah.
Patrol are DC.
There were a lot of
Yes.
opinions.
Well, before we get into Doom Patrol, Katie, we're going
Lot
to
of
talk real
opinions.
quick about The Boys season 2.
Oh yes!
Did y'all see that trailer?
Yes.
Tell me what you
cannot
think.
wait.
I
Trailer,
love
but
The
I'm
I'm
Boys.
dancing.
I think me and
I love
Nathan
The
started
Boys.
this podcast, and we were about 3 months before The Boys came out, and I told him, I was like, dude, we need to check
We're
the show out.
watching it.
We need to check the show out as soon as we finish Umbrella Academy, which is a great show, by the way.
Yes, I love that show too.
And as
Yes.
soon as Doom Patrol, as soon as The Boys came out, man, it was a hit. Great show, phenomenal. Everybody loved it. The Boys season 2 coming out very soon. What do y'all think?
Homelander
Yeah.
continues to impress me. They act like just the way his mannerisms and everything. Like that trailer was perfect.
Yes, it was
perfect.
so good.
And I can't wait to see more of Homelander because, as you know, I fell in love with that. I'd never even heard of The Boys, and I seen this series and I went, "Holy shit! This is awesome!" And Homelander and the guy that plays him, which I can't remember his name right now, that is just top notch.
Anthony
The piercing
Starr?
blue eyes. Yes, Anthony Starr.
Anthony
Like,
Starr.
man, it was just great. I fell in love with the character, just brutality and weirdness, and just like that's all right. Here we go. Like, let's go.
Perfect casting. I agree.
hmm
How impressed were the rest of y'all by the The Boys season 2 trailer?
It was nice. I like it. It was done like an Instagram thing. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're definitely
Clever
keeping up the
marketing.
times. You know, I mean, you got to stay in the what's going on now and what people like to see. And I mean, I know I have a 13-year-old daughter, so luckily with her, I'm able to keep up with what's going on in the world. You know, I use her vicariously to figure out what's popular and what's kids are liking, and I don't think she's watching The Boys. At least
I hope not.
At least I hope she's
Shielding
not,
her
because
a
I
little
haven't
bit
given
from
her
that.
access
Hope
to
not.
Yeah, I haven't given her
That
access to that.
head crushing
but,
scene alone, I'd be like, whoa,
yeah.
hey, whoa.
but it
A little more Stargirl, a little less The Boys.
Yes,
There we go.
or maybe
Yes,
maybe
I'm with
Princess Bride.
Travis.
Yeah, so
Don't want to tell you how to raise your kids or anything.
whatever, dude.
I have to give a quick shout out. Jay Yaz sent me The Boys pin. I should have brought it.
Oh, that's cool.
I sent him. He bought a mask from me for his mother, and so I sent it to him, and so he got my address, and then he sent me back a little pin from The Boys, and I was like, "Oh,
Nice.
thank you."
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah, but
And I absolutely adored the first season. It was one of those things where I thought I had too many superhero shows. I was like, do we need to keep doing this? Like, it's another one. Like, we don't need more edgy superhero. And then I saw it and I was like, nope, never mind. I take it all back.
Exactly. I was the
just
same way.
injected into my veins. I need more. So
Yes.
I was really excited for the trailer, and it's something to look forward to. I've kind of maxed out the shows that I was trying to catch up on, so really needing that show right now.
New
Yeah.
content.
Bring
Yes.
it to me. Boys season 2. Katie, you got any thoughts? Katie's not here. Sarah, you got any
She
thoughts?
disappeared.
I
She'll be
cannot
back.
speak on this one as of yet. That's
You
still
still
on my
haven't
list.
seen it.
Yeah.
Did you not watch season 1?
I got 2 kids.
Hey.
Two young kids.
I
No
mean,
more
just-
explanation
I'm
needed.
not
We
mad-
understand.
I'm not mad at you, but I'm still gonna say, what the fuck?
And that's hard to watch, like with the kids
I know.
there. You know?
I'm good to keep up with what I can keep
I hear
up
you.
with.
I hear
Oh
you.
my gosh.
Yeah, no, I hear
But
you.
yeah, it's definitely on my.
Sarah, you're gonna love it.
You
You're
are
gonna
gonna
love
love
Yeah,
it.
you'll
Yeah.
love it.
Really,
Brian's
It's so
even.
good.
I think Brian's seen maybe the first couple episodes or whatnot, and he says, "Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah." It's like one of those like, you youngins, you've got to go to bed. Go to
Get your
bed.
ass
Right.
in bed.
Not
You
go to
cannot
bed.
let your
I don't
kids
care.
watch
You come
this.
out of this room, we're gonna
Yes.
have a problem. So I'm like laying in bed with my phone. Like
That's when you need an Indiana Jones whip. So if you hear that door handle, he's
Look,
Get back
you
in
do
there.
not
It
want to
works.
explain to your
Absolutely.
kids what
Absolutely.
laying
Attest to
cable
that.
got
is.
that mom look.
Yeah, you do not want to explain to your kids what laying cable is. Just period. I mean, I'm just saying, like, just don't let them figure that out. They'll figure that out on their own. Urban
Yes,
Dictionary, Google, all the good stuff. You don't need to explain that.
But it is
not-
on my list, so definitely I'm trying to keep up. Just like Umbrella Academy, it's on my list too. So
Oh yeah, you'll love that too.
I mean,
That
I
was
started.
really
I've got
good.
to like the first few episodes, but that was I think probably last fall. So I've got a
So
little
it
bit.
sounds like you should
catch
just
up
watch
with.
the whole show.
I understand, dude. Like, there's so many things to watch
Yeah.
out there, and plus, like
Yeah.
when you have the littles in the background, I mean, they definitely
Mhm.
can't be watching that. So
Yes.
Oh,
get it.
Lord.
Fun fact: Greg and I just found out there's a comic book. There's a trade paperback called "Cha Cha and Coco Save Christmas."
Yes.
That is like based on.
I would
like,
read
and
that.
I
Yes.
want to read that. And
Yes,
I said,
me
I hope,
too.
I told Greg, I said, I hope they adapt that into season 2 of
100%.
Umbrella Academy.
Even if it's
That
an
would be
Easter
the
egg.
shit.
Cha-Cha and Hazel, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Hazel. Damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Even if
But
it's
yes,
a
it was-
small
I was
Easter
like,
egg, I
hell
want
yeah.
to see it. Yep, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But yeah, we don't have a whole lot about that. The
Side
Boys
tangent.
season 2 is coming out. There's a trailer out. We don't know a lot of news other than when it is coming out. But if you like that show, definitely get ready because season 2 is ramping up, and that show does not hold anything back. It really doesn't.
Nope.
Like
So
it
good.
is a phenomenal.
Read the
show.
comic. It really doesn't hold back.
Really?
Oh, really?
No.
I'd never
Yeah.
read the comic, but the show just
Mm-hmm.
I loved it.
Apparently, the trades
asked
way
all those
more
tough
brutal.
questions that I've always wanted to see comic book shows ask. Like all the dark stuff, I'm like,
Mhm.
what about this and this and this? And like,
Mhm.
it goes there so
Mhm.
hard. So
The
it's
whole
good.
show's dark.
Well,
Yeah.
Chris, you're my comic book expert, man, and I know
Oh,
that
yeah.
I
Love
asked
it.
you before. This originally was an IDW property, right?
It started as
excuse me, Dark
it
Horse,
was
not
D-
Dark Horse.
started DC.
Okay.
It started as DC. DC thought I think it was just it got too much for them. I can't remember. Hold on, give me one second.
It
know
started
it's
not
DC, I
hard to
do,
believe.
yeah,
Well,
And
DC
then
or
it-
Marvel, one of the two.
yeah, I
and
know.
then it
I know
went
Dark
over
Horse,
to-
yeah.
And then it went over to Dynamite, I believe.
Mm.
Yes, it is Dynamite.
I was wrong altogether.
Man, I really miss going inside of a comic
Because
book
I think
store.
Dynamite might be a Dark Horse
Yes, me
imprint.
too.
Let me check.
I think that Dark Horse was the original story writer for that, but
I did that yesterday. Went to
Yeah.
the comic book store.
Humble brag.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This is where it was under. Here we go.
You're like,
Once
my
DC
country has it under control, so.
It
More
was,
like his
um,
island. More like his island. The rest, I mean, they're
Yeah.
doing pretty good, but that 500,000 helps out.
It was under Wildstorm, so yes, under DC at that point. They did first 6 issues. DC was like, Wild. It's like, no, sorry, you're a little bit too extreme. Then it went over to Dynamite from the rest of the run.
that's so,
So-
crazy because I know that
That'd
in
be
the,
fucking
in the
fireworks.
intro of the show it says that it is a Dark Horse comic book property. So it blows my mind how that's overlooked, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Man, apparently, yeah.
It's been a while since I
Chris
watched
was
that.
telling. Well, I was looking up stuff about it. Like after like that first couple episodes, I started looking stuff up about it, and then I read like the comparison of the comic to the scene, and I went, "Oh!" I said, "So that was brutal in the show, but that was toned back." All
Oh, my
right,
gosh.
like,
Really?
okay,
Okay.
like let's here we go.
Okay, good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, y'all got anything else to say about The Boys? Because
I'm ready to, like
don't-
Lisa said, eject it in my veins.
Katie has her hand up.
I see
Katie?
that.
Really
Katie kinda
quick,
missed
sorry,
this.
because I had to go take my
No.
contacts out. But this was definitely, when I watched season 1, I was like, okay, this has just had so much popularity on Twitter. Like, I've got to see what it's about. From the second episode, I didn't think it was going to be my cup of tea, but after I finished the season, I was like, oh my gosh, when is season 2 coming?
So
I am
good.
Yeah, dude.
excited.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
It took a while to take off. I agree. And then you were like, whoa, I'm in.
Yeah.
why am I interested in this? I don't know why, but it's really interesting, and I can't wait. So,
Yeah.
You know what? You're right, because I watched the first 3 episodes, one a day, and I was like, all right, each one of them. But I think it was after that 4th one, I was like, whoa. Well, I can
The
put
airplane.
another one in,
The
right?
airplane.
I can
the
watch
airplane.
it again.
Yeah, the airplane. You were so
Yeah,
right.
that's what it was.
I mean, this
and
show
I was
grabs
like,
my
okay.
friends that don't like comic book anything. Like, I have
Same.
like a whole group of close friends that are like tired of me talking about comics, and they kind of just tune out. So, but even I was like, I know you guys don't want to hear me, but like, you have to watch The Boys. And they were like, here's Lisa with her comic book stuff again. And I was like, no,
Right.
really, what? And then
Right.
they loved
Check
it. Like,
it
everyone
out.
loves it.
No.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a great show. I definitely recommend anybody who hasn't seen season 1, check out season 1 before you check out season 2.
Definitely.
Naturally.
Yeah,
but it's
From
a great show.
from what you're saying, Greg, with Dark Horse, I think Dark Horse has the digital distribution for The Boys. That's why you see a lot of Dark Horse with
Okay.
it. So, but yes, the
Oh.
label is Dynamite. That's where they went to.
Okay.
So
That makes sense. All right. Well, cool. Well, y'all got anything else to say about The Boys? If not, we'll get back into reviews. And
Just excited.
I think that the first thing we should talk about before we talk about Doom Patrol, because it's 3 episodes, is Stargirl. And I know Travis and I covered Stargirl on Monday on the DC Alliance podcast. Stargirl is a phenomenal show. I did not want to watch the show at all. As a matter of fact, Katie, if you had not told me to watch the show, I probably wouldn't even have given it a chance. But I'm so glad that I did, because it is a phenomenal show. I'm having such a good time watching it, and I'm excited for every Monday watching it and recording with T-Bone here and talking about how much we love Stargirl. It's a phenomenal show. Katie, get us going.
y'all have absolutely no idea how hard it is to not talk about episode 7 right now. Like,
Let it loose, Katie. Go ahead. We won't tell
oh
anybody.
my god,
We won't
No,
tell anybody.
I can't, because otherwise I lose. I lose the episodes if they ever find out, and I don't want to. But
I'm
and
sending
it's
that-
the same thing with Doom Patrol. I've already watched episode 4, so I'm just so excited for these shows right now. Like Stargirl, I said it was gonna get me back into DCCW. It hasn't, but honestly, like, I love watching it every week. Episode 6 was really great.
Yes.
I wasn't a huge fan of what is it, Ty Grayson's Sportsmaster, but I
yeah.
liked seeing everyone come together. I think this has been one of the weaker episodes of the season, but I liked seeing the team come together. It is Stargirl to me, so that always I am very nitpicky when it comes to single character shows versus team shows. If you tell me, okay, it's Legends of Tomorrow where we know we're going to get a team, I'm more open to a team aspect. But this is Stargirl. I want to know more about Brooke Bassinger. Like, we know she thinks she's Starman's daughter. Like, where is that going right now? Because she
Right.
still keeps going on about that. But Pat's reaction makes me think she's not Starman's daughter. So, like, what we need to
Don't
see
read the comic,
something
Katie. You'll spoil it. Don't read the comic.
I haven't, and I won't by the end of the season. I guarantee you. So, like,
It's not gonna happen.
I want to know where that's going, because this is the Stargirl show, not the Team JSA show. But
Katie,
that's just my personal opinion.
when I talk to you about Stargirl, I want to send you that gif of Loki, like, tell me! Because that is my thing. Like, every time, tell me what's going on. Because I know you know. It's very frustrating, but it's okay, because I still love you. And, you know, I'm going to see the next episode the next week, so it's not a big deal. But, so, Katie, I want to know real quick before we move on, how many episodes have you seen?
So I got episode 7 in my inbox today, and I've already watched it. So, but I got episode 4 of Doom Patrol in my inbox yesterday, and I had watched it within an hour of it coming to my inbox. So at least I waited on Stargirl.
Justifiably so, though. You know, very much. So, Sarah, tell me your thoughts on Stargirl. How are you loving it?
I love it.
Yeah?
I absolutely, and I've made it perfectly clear. I love the character development. I love learning more and more about these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to know about them. It's not like, okay, cool. No, I want to know more. I mean, and there's been a few times it's kind of got me in the feels. But it's just, I just can't say enough great things about it. I mean, it's been a while since there's been a DC CW show that has really grabbed me other than like Arrow and Flash. I mean, it's just, I'm like, kudos. Absolutely. I mean, I just can't praise it enough. I just can't praise it enough.
Yeah. The entire team's done a great job.
And Pat, bless his heart, he's he's trying so hard to protect her. He's trying so hard.
Such a great dad moment at the end of that. That was that's pure. I know I'm gonna have those conversations with my kid. Oh yeah, you doing this? Oh, remember what I told you about that? Yeah, we'll let you do it on your own.
That was fantastic.
Dad moment, 100% dad moment.
She's like, oh my God, they're just not listening. Oh, they're not, are they? Mm-hmm. Really? That's just aggravating, isn't it? It's just so frustrating. She's like, yeah. Oh.
I have played that trick on my kids. Yes, that is a great trick to play on your kids. So.
But it still continues to prove my point. I still don't think Pat is the one that's the right one to train them. He is a father figure, but he is not the one to train them. There's someone missing in this group that needs to be the.
Ooh, I like that.
And you saw what the Kid Hour man said. Like, you're a sidekick. Why exactly were you the sidekick?
Yeah, exactly.
That definitely leads me along to that point where it's like, okay, who else is out there? Come on.
Because at the time Starman needed somebody in bright colors for the bad guys to shoot at, so he could just get up behind them and get them.
Meat shield. Yep.
That is like your Chewbacca dying because of the moon thing.
No, it's not like that.
They didn't want to translate.
That is a character arc moment right there, because the character, he was Starman's sidekick. Period, point blank, you can't say anything about it. He was Starman's sidekick. And the new members of the JSA are questioning why he has relevance in this group. And he proves it in this episode, you know?
Well, they're just being jerk kids at that point. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Pat has grown a lot, and I do not consider him a sidekick. I just don't consider him to be the one to give the training that these kids need. Okay. They need someone who either has the powers or has been in the field and been in the game, just been out of it. You know, but he just doesn't have that yet, just because he doesn't have that kind of ability. He doesn't have those abilities. He's a great he's a great, obviously, engineer. He's good at being a father figure. I just don't see him as the trainer of this team.
I see what you're saying.
Krista's a janitor that may or may not fill that role, perhaps.
Oh, their janitor has definitely been something at that point. They're
that gruff old
way
bastard.
Too much.
Yeah. They alluded to something, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
He said, "Careful, there are dragons in the water." That's what he said. The only thing he said.
Yeah.
But it's definitely...
looks like a storm's coming.
Etrigan?
Well, I mean, that's one of those moments where you know that in the future that has to mean something.
Yeah.
But it may not play out until almost the end. You never know what's going to happen. But you've noticed in the show that they've developed characters in the school that have been villains. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the students are heroes type deal. Mm-hmm. So I want to see where they go with this in the future. They've really set up a great storyline for what's going on. I've never read Stargirl, though. So I can't kind of comment on what's going to happen next or what I think should happen or how they're affecting it. But I've never read anything Stargirl. So...
Well, the problem...
That's kind of fun about that's kind of the fun thing about it, too. I mean, it's,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't even think you need Stargirl in this, just because in that kind of universe, you have a JSA that is still active. You have a JSA that's thing, so it makes it a completely different story. So it's better that you don't read it, just because it's just the characters and what it's based on.
Right.
So
right.
Sure.
Well, what do y'all think about the JSA moving forward? Are we going to see a Green Lantern? Like seriously,
Now,
I want to see a
Pat
Green
did
Lantern
say
so
something.
bad.
Pat
I don't
did
think
say.
so.
Like
Pat did say the lantern's not going to work without the ring.
Yep.
He did say that. That is it. That one right there.
that is
that
the
what he's
ring
waiting
right
for?
there. That is the movie replica right there. That is the ring.
Where's your lantern?
Y'all know I'm a Green Lantern guy. Oh, I haven't bought the lantern yet. So it's
Doesn't
I mean,
work.
I thought that was interesting to say
powerless,
that,
yeah.
because he was like, "This is one of the most powerful things, but it's not going to work without the ring." And he
Yeah.
he just said it just kind of offhandedly, and I was like,
I think he said it would have killed you without the ring. Yeah.
We also
So-
never saw him in that sequence, in that opening sequence.
Him or
Well,
Doctor Fate.
Yeah, can I just
Yeah.
say that whoever trains them, I hope that they transform Beth because I hated her at the
you did.
beginning. I was like,
Yeah, you
why?
did.
Why? If I'm Courtney and I'm in the same scenario, and somebody shows up at my house and they're go in my room and go through my shit, and I come home, the first thing I'm doing is knocking them. I'm swinging first and foremost, and I'm dragging them and throwing them out of my room, going, "What are you doing?" I don't care if we sat together at lunch one time. I don't care if you ran and talked, blah, 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 and I tuned it out the whole time. I don't care, and I hated how she was just like so persistent. And now she got this goggles, and by the end of episode 6, it's a little better. But I hope whoever trains her, like, she completely does it. You know what I mean? Like, where not has to abandon her, but you know what I mean? Like. Stop it. Let's be like real pro. You know, like let's. I don't know. Like I said, I would have literally freaked out if somebody just showed up in my house like that. Like I was.
I love the
I was
character.
enraged for Courtney. I was like, "Man, she's going through your shit."
Well, I think she's bringing like this level of naivete where it's, I think the last episode it kind of shook her a little bit, and then with this one, with their big little, they finally had a confrontation.
Right, challenge. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And they're
that
just
sixth
like-
episode was excellent. That fight, the
Whoa.
fight with the villains, the Sportsmaster and Tigers, excellent. Like that
Oh my
fight
God.
of them like learning and trying to go, like that was I liked it. That was excellent. But I'm just saying, like, and like I said, she got better at that because she was. I'm just saying, at first, like I would have literally been like, "Oh, this bitch."
Yeah,
like,
that was a little odd. That was a little odd. I was
Oh,
like,
we'd have fought and realized we
Well,
might have been friends
hold on a
after that. But no. You don't go into another person's bedroom and go through their shit. I don't care what age you are. Never.
Nathan,
Yeah.
you know I work for the post office, man. So I can look up your address anytime if I want to. And the first time we meet, even though just so you know, that's public record. Anybody can do that. But
That's okay. 'Cause I got the key to my
yeah.
gun safe really
That's
close,
right.
and
I'm gonna show up to your
I got
house,
it.
man.
I'm ready to go.
I'm gonna show up to your house, and it is gonna be a Stargirl moment when we meet. So
you would just be like in his
But-
room, like rifling through his stuff. It's just
right,
Like
exactly.
I said, no.
I'm
like,
gonna
I
go
really
through your
do.
drawers.
oh, his
I love
goggles.
everything,
Oh,
yeah.
they're cool.
That's right.
I love Courtney on the show, and I like her and Pat's relationship. I like how there's like that. I don't know. I think they're good characters together. I like how the Wildcat suit is basically the Black Panther suit, only
Yes.
without like being able to just go boop, 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 and turn it on. But other than that, like it's what's the Hour Man? Fun fact: didn't realize Hour Man. The reason why he was Hour Man is because he flipped his hourglass and got 1 hour strength. So learned
But
something
there's a
new.
reason behind that, though.
And
Learned
the
something new
costume
watching
is
that.
amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
She
very
knows-
comic accurate.
Yeah, that's
very awesome in the
Good
content
job.
show. Yes.
Like I said, Sportsmaster looked great. Like
He did, yeah.
the villains on this show are killing it.
They
Like, I
are,
think,
you're
the
right.
villains are so damn
Yes.
good, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like I think the villains are excellent, and I haven't seen most of these actors before, or if I have, they never made an impression. But like, man, they are killing it with their like ability to, hey, turn it on and turn it off. I don't know. I really like the villains on this show.
No, you're right, dude. The villains are what makes this show, and I feel like
Yeah.
Icicle is so intimidating. He
Yes.
really is. Even
Yes.
when he doesn't want to be, he is so intimidating. It is perfect for this role.
It's I don't know if it's like the mannerisms or the way he talks or
No,
if it's
yeah.
everything, but
I
like
agree.
like you said, he's just kind of you're uneasy when he's like on screen and you see him going.
Something about him makes me not want to fight him. Of course, if I had to, I would. But
Right.
there's just something about him that makes me not want to mess with that guy. Like, he just seems like he is a badass and would probably kill me instantly. So
But okay, so you get to it and you're like, okay, there's 7 more episodes at this point left in the season.
Yes.
Where is the season going?
well, it's a perfect point. Now that you point that out, Katie, it's a perfect point because
Damn it,
this is the
Katie.
point where they have established the team.
you and Logic and stuff.
Everybody is committed. Look. Halfway through the season, they have established all the villains. They have established all the heroes.
No, we haven't seen Grundy yet.
You're
No,
right.
We have seen Grundy.
You
We've
have
seen
seen
him.
Grundy.
Flashes, you really haven't seen him, though.
You haven't seen him in like a 30-second segment, but you have seen
But
Grundy.
Courtney knows who he is.
Right, I'm Team Travis.
Right, you know who Grundy is.
Budget.
Okay. But
Budget,
what I'm saying is
exactly.
they've established the villains, they've established the character, the heroes, and they've established the plot, the synopsis of what you want to do. The like what is going
What's
on.
a synopsis?
What the heroes need to do. You know? So at this point they have freelance to do whatever they want to do, in my opinion. You know?
And you look at it and you say, okay, originally this show is supposed to come out last August.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so originally it was supposed to be DC Universe was supposed to have a full year's worth of content where it was going to be Titans, Doom Patrol, Young Justice, Stargirl.
Harley
And
Quinn.
that was going to be the schedule.
Harley
So what happened to delay Stargirl to this point? And do we still have a continuous storyline? We know the manipulation that happened to Titans. I think Jeff Johns loves Stargirl enough because it's based on his sister, right? So like, I think he's got enough backbone in him to fight for the storyline to stay the same. But why was it delayed, and are we going to see the effect of that?
Well, I can tell you why it was delayed. COVID-19. That's why it was delayed.
No.
Everything in the world is delayed by COVID-19 right now.
This was done filming. This was done filming before.
Yeah,
It
this
doesn't
was
matter.
done filming like
Doesn't matter.
last summer.
Done filming and ready to show to the public is two different things.
We didn't
Yeah,
even know about
you can
COVID last August. So I
You
don't
can do the
understand.
VFX. You can do the VFX beforehand. We got the picture from this most recent episode in Crisis on Infinite Earths when they're standing up behind Straight. The whole team that was on the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So
Maybe it's a marketing thing then. You know?
It was, wasn't it?
well, it could have been
And
just
I
having
mean,
to go
we-
to the CW, right?
Yeah, maybe
True that.
it was the CW, and they had reached the bargaining agreement to get it on the CW because they had seen how Titans and Doom Patrol the reactions were, and that they weren't getting enough audience. So maybe that's the case, and the CW is what delayed it.
Well, what Katie,
Wouldn't
what
necessarily
I've
say about
read,
Doom Patrol.
what I've read is after the second episode, they reached that deal, so they went
Mhm.
back, cut the first two episodes, and then they planned for the rest of them to be 40-minute shows on the CW. So,
Okay. That makes sense.
and ultimately, I think their plan is pretty spelled out now. They needed Brainwave to do Project New America, but they can't. And
Yes.
now his son is starting to come into his power, so clearly they're going to recruit him to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it boils down to if your parents are evil, will you become evil, kind of thing.
Whatever
Because
project,
I
whatever
think
it
the
is.
Icicle's son is going to have a big role to play at the end of this season because I already seen him be extra nice to Yolanda in coloring her locker just to get rid of the horrible things that would have never flown in my school at all. Writing that stuff on locker, you couldn't wear a beer shirt
No.
to my school.
Yeah.
A beer shirt, a
Icicle
wrestling shirt.
Jr. is a villain in the comics and stuff.
Yeah, but you don't know what he could end up being
Yeah,
because he's
sure,
awful
sure.
nice.
You're right.
Yes.
Well, you bring
You're
it
right.
into a point there, like basically, if your dad is Darth Vader, are you a Sith Lord?
Yeah.
Or are you going to follow Sith?
Well, we
Basically
just-
type deal. You know?
Didn't we have 9 movies to tell you about that?
9 movies, 25 books,
Luke,
13
Luke,
animated shows.
I am your father.
Like, so,
Ray wasn't evil, and her grandfather was evil. So
Mhm.
I think I'm really curious to see what both of those characters are going to do. We haven't really touched on them much.
Yeah.
And I'm just really curious because ultimately, when you find out what your parents are doing, like we know
Mhm.
that the wife and grandparents were all on board with Icicle, but his son doesn't know. So I'm really curious when he finds this out because eventually he will.
yeah.
Will he
Mhm.
go to Courtney or will he go join his father? That's something that I think is going to come into effect by the end of the season,
I agree. It's
or
gonna
maybe
be-
earlier. Katie, look at me. See, give a tell. Give a tell.
Nope,
Mhm.
Katie. She signed that form. She can't talk
wink
about
one
it.
time.
Yeah,
I did sign a form.
yeah.
Well, I didn't. I electronically signed a form that said I will not disclose before the embargo date, and the embargo date is on Monday. So.
Oh, nice.
If
So-
we weren't live, I could tell you.
So Monday, Katie, you're gonna join DC Alliance podcast, and you're gonna talk about what you can't talk about until then. So, yeah, let's do it. But no, Stargirl, it's an amazing show. I am blown away by it. I think that it is the DCCW revival show. I think it's going to bring that show back. Not that I don't like DCCW, but after a little while Flash, after Legends, after Supergirl, after, what did I say? Flash, Legends, Supergirl, all the big shows, you start to get kind of tired of it. You start to get a little bit worn out, and they all have their lulls, or their moments where the show's not really worth watching. It's kind of a weekly whatever show. You're not tied into the story. I think that Stargirl can bring that franchise back. I really do. And I think that they can tie that into a lot of things. I don't know what they're going to do what they're going to tie it to in the future, but you really could have something big with Stargirl here. It's a huge hit. I'm loving the show, and I'm excited to see what's going on in the future. You know?
Oh, I completely agree. Absolutely agree.
All right, cool. Well, if y'all have nothing else to say about Stargirl, let's talk the big enchilada tonight. Even though I think that Indiana Jones probably took the cake, let's talk about Doom Patrol. You know,
the little enchilada that started.
Yeah, the whole enchilada, and you'll probably take that whole enchilada if you're on Doom Patrol. So, the whole enchilada. But like I said, I watched the third episode today. I woke up at 5:30 this morning to watch 2 episodes before I went to work. That's commitment. Look it up in the dictionary. That's commitment right there. To watch the 2 episodes. Then I watched the half of the last episode at work and half the last episode on the way to work, or on the way home from work. Great show. I did not get into the first season, but it started to kind of catch me about halfway through. I'm loving the second season. It's really, really strange, and I think that's what you have to kind of embrace with this show. If you don't like really strange, you probably won't like this show. But if you do, it's phenomenal. It's a really, really strange show. It's a really, really well-written mystery about what's going to happen next. And if you want to hear 20 F-bombs in the first 10 minutes, watch this show. Just saying. So,
Brendan Fraser effing away.
You know, I feel like Brendan Fraser my whole life I've been watching in movies, and he's been on the cusp of saying fuck. Like, in every movie. Been on the very cusp of saying that, but because the movie was PG-13 or he couldn't say it, he didn't. I feel like this is his release. I really do. This is his release right here. He gets to act and say fuck all he wants to. Sorry, we're talking Doom Patrol Season 2. I'm going full adult spoilers here. I'll say fuck all I want to because I can say fuck as many times as I want to, and I still won't reach up to what the Doom Patrol does. So, 10 minutes, 20 fucks. Y'all let me know in the third episode. Third episode alone. Just that. 42 fucks. So, let's get started talking about the Doom Patrol Season 2, Episode 1, and just go from there wherever you want to. And Sarah, I'm going to start with you on this one. Did you watch? You watched it, right?
Well, I've seen 1 and 2, and I think I'm about maybe 15 minutes shy of finishing 3.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one, they just picked up and went slam straight into it. I mean, it was
they did.
I mean, it was. I was okay. All right, I'm good. We're here.
Yeah.
Because you know how sometimes you start a second season and it's not quite as, it doesn't quite live up to the hype of the first season.
Yeah.
No, not here. Not the case here. It was straight right into it. So I was glad to see the characters again. I was glad to see, and I like the introduction of, more of Dorothy. Kind of see where she's coming from.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a sweet little girl. Oh, she's
And what
so
she
sweet.
can do.
I know. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly is going on. That's crazy. Right. You know, and you have this other voice, and he's like, make a wish. I'm thinking, oh my Lord. Okay. I've already seen. Are we going like full spoilers here? I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, full spoilers.
That spider, I could have done without that. Okay, give me, the big what rabbit
Like
man
moose,
big
bear.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you go from man, bear, pig. What is that like? Rabbit man? I don't know. But and then with the what did Jane call her? Like the Mary Poppins looking whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mary Poppins.
But I thought it was really cool. But I mean, I thought it was really cool how Jane could see it because she has her
Mm-hmm.
folks and whatnot. But
Well, Dorothy was trying to relate to her almost. She's like,
Yeah.
I got friends too, or whatever she said to her, or something like that.
I mean, it's just and I'm like, I understand, while Niles, did what he did to protect this little girl, because he's not really he's protecting her, but yeah, he's protecting everyone else from her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really sweet, and and Larry, oh bless his heart.
Oh, Larry continues to be the heart of the goddamn show.
I love Larry.
Dude, like he
Second
he broke-
episode, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I almost missed it work, and I'm like,
last year, like you get all through that, and then like they right here, they just kick you right in the
Right in
the
the
feels with his kid and dying, and like he saw it, and then he realizes his kid knew that his dad was alive. Like, oh, it's just so sad.
I know, it's
But he
just,
gets to talk to the younger son, and you're like, oh, at least he gets to talk to one son, and like, yeah.
Well, I thought that was kind of crazy too, because like when he heard his voice, because he had that look, and then he said, "Can you say something again?" Yes, I'm your dad. I'm your dad.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just not even. Yeah, I am. But I mean, I just love how it goes back into these characters, and now they're going a little bit further. And Rita, she's still trying to figure out her lot in life. She's, just trying to figure out how to handle that. And then Cyborg, and he's just, I'm not quite sure what's going on with him right now. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess he's trying to figure out his PTSD or whatever. But I do like that, and then the introduction of I don't want to call her his love interest because really she's not. I mean,
No, she's a character,
but she's just another character. So I mean, I think that's pretty interesting. But
And
I'm just
especially
really
for a little bit of
excited
the backstory.
yeah, so I'm just really excited that they just jumped in and pretty much picked up from the last
They
episode.
killed
of season
Danny the
1.
Brick. God damn it, Danny the Brick is gone. That was upsetting.
Yeah, well,
Danny's gonna be back.
Yeah, I know. The time guy with the weird fucking head thing, they rip his brain
That
out.
was so
I was
cool.
like, what is
but the look on their
happening?
faces is like, and that's what I love about this show because it's so outlandish, and even as outlandish as they are, like I said, something like that happens, he falls, cracks his head, and she's just like, and Rita's like, "What is?" This? And of course, Cliff is like, "F this."
Well, they have an intervention. Like Jane's personalities have an intervention with her because she's just keeping herself sedated.
That was such a great scene. Such a
Mhm.
great scene. Showed off her acting so well.
The Jane character is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it really is.
That actress deserves some sort
Diana
of
Guerrero.
award.
Oh yeah.
She definitely does. And as an alcoholic, I can't really look at a convention scene and be happy about it. Yeah. I'm just saying. I know that one day I'm going to come home and
Oh no.
and there's going to be everybody here with a convention. It's going to happen one day, I'm sure. But as long as I keep functioning, I'll be good. But yeah.
Rehabs for quitters.
Exactly.
I know I kind of digressed off of episode 1, but I mean I just can't really talk about episode 1 specifically without
talk
thinking
about
about the
all
other
three.
ones.
Oh no, you're good.
We're covering
Well,
everything.
and you can definitely kind of see why these were intentionally released as 3
Yes.
episodes, though. I
Yeah.
swear the boys owes the Doom Patrol some money.
Ooh, explain. I want to hear that.
Just because
For
of
the
the
marketing.
release schedule, because of they're doing 3 episodes and then doing 1 a week after that. So that's all that is. I was kind of joking.
Well, I would
She's
say
being a
episode 3.
butthole.
Now I've gone with them through a lot of stuff, but episode 3 was that was a bit much for me. That was like I don't know if it's just like the gratuitousness of just the because it is the pain
Of
patrol.
the weird guy. Yeah. I don't
Yeah, and
know
I'm
what the
thinking
red
this
coat or what
guy
was his
is
name?
just I don't know. He even creeps them out. So that's
Snapping
saying a
people's
lot.
eyeballs out. And shit.
Yeah, I'm like,
What is happening?
But I haven't seen the last 15 minutes. I haven't seen like the.
Oh, you gotta see
Oh,
it.
well, you gotta see.
Oh, I'm gonna
it.
watch that afterwards. So
Yeah.
after
Okay.
I got to finish it up. So yeah, that's the only episode I've ever think I've watched where I'm just kind of like, that. Okay, all right. I'm
Go see it, like
power through it.
what's his name? I think it's Red Jack.
Red Jack. Red Jack, I think.
Yeah, Red Jack. He is a villain that I could see come back. He is hauntingly scary, and
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but those butterflies, that's a perfect way of like kind of showcasing Doom Patrol's biggest aspect, which is like showcasing new beginnings for characters, like those butterflies that are growing. Like, yes, it's horrific, but at the same time, that's one of the biggest themes I think of Doom Patrol is, okay, we're a bunch of misfits that we don't know how we got here, but we're gonna make the best of it and move forward. And so that was a really beautiful aspect to include there, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and also because I mean, it's kind of like what they have, like what's happened to them, kind of mirrored the ugliness in their lives, their previous lives. So, and I guess now moving forward, you know, as being the misfits, or you know, like the anti-heroes or whatnot. So,
Well, can
it's following.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, obviously, can I say that I feel like in the second season, the villains they've introduced so far, because the first episode there was no real villain. Second and third there kind of was. I feel like they've been defeated very easily. The villains, at least. I mean, I know that what's the guy's name in the third episode?
Red Jack.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Candlemaster, but it's not him.
No, that's her weird imaginary friend.
Candlemaker.
That's her weird imaginary friend.
Yeah,
Candlemaker, yeah. But it's not him. He was very intimidating. Like,
yes.
And he seemed like when I watched the episode was defeated somewhat easily. I mean, like that could have happened at any point in time in your life, type deal. I guess it's a chance, and Niles knew what to do at that point, but it seems like they were defeated pretty easily in that minute. And I had to ask myself when that happened, is he really dead? Type deal. And maybe he's not. Maybe in the future you'll see him, but it seemed like it was a pretty easy death. I mean, that's always my mindset. If I'm ever in a situation like that and I get close enough to that villain, I'm going for the kill shot.
Sure.
Well, and so that's kind of what I said about Dr. Time, was that he was a really weak villain of the week trope.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that Doom Patrol is kind of striving for, and for the record, they did get cut off on their production because of coronavirus. So I think
it's only gonna be 9 episodes.
I think there was originally supposed to be 11 or 10 or 11 episodes.
10.
They got cut down to the 9. But I think one thing that they're striving towards this season is to have a more clean plot, because that's one thing they struggled with in the first season.
But not clear dialogue. Sorry, good.
That's one thing they struggled with in the first season, was trying to get together a clean plot. But one thing that they haven't done in this season is when character development focused shows try and focus more on an overall plot, the characters tend to suffer as a result of that. But I think over the first 3 episodes, that they don't struggle with that, and your characters, your team, which is what people have been invested in, they don't get left by the wayside. You're not sacrificing characters in this point for a plot, and so I give the writers complete props for that, because other shows have absolutely struggled with that, but this is one thing that they've absolutely rocked on.
Yeah, and I feel like that they've, watching the second season so far, they have focused on pairings, like Rita and Larry, Cliff and Jane. And then you have Cyborg and his new girlfriend. Like they've kind of, and even what's his name, Niles and his daughter. Yeah, what they've done is they've taken everybody and put them in kind of pairs, and they're telling stories about these characters of pairs. Which, by the way, I love Rita and Larry's chemistry in this show.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think those two are fantastic. They're the best characters of the show, if you ask me. well, not the most fun, but the best characters of the show. If you ask me. They have a really good time. I love seeing Cliff and Jane though. That's fantastic. Chemistry
Now
between
she
them.
can give him a run for money as many times as she drops.
Oh, I agree. I agree. But they've done a great job with that of kind of pairing people up and giving a story of both of them together and how they relate to each other and why they are friends and why they're so good. And I love the Larry and Rita aspect of the show because those two were kind of the first in this group, and no matter what, you can see that they are always there for each other. Like Rita was willing to die to save Larry, which is great. Vice versa in the last season, Larry was willing to die to save Rita. But I love how they have made that connection, and you feel like it's not just them being alone. Like at least between one or two of the people in the group, they have a connection that they want to live for or fight for, something to make them keep going.
Family.
You know? Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect, Nathan. Yep.
Thank you.
This thing on?
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Just basking in your point.
So I love this show. Like it's kind of like The Boys for me, where you first look at it and you're like, why the hell am I interested in this show? Like
Right.
I had absolutely
You
no
gotta feel
fucking
bad
idea.
sometimes. You're
Right.
like,
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, my mom would kill me if she saw me watching this
Right.
show. But like, I relate to each of these characters in some shape or form every time, and God damn it, I shouldn't have watched the 4th episode.
Oh no.
Damn it! Like I want to talk about that 4th episode so much, and I
Do
can't
it.
wait for it.
No. Don't get mad at
No.
No,
me.
I can't.
Do it.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Break.
do
No.
it.
Break.
Shut it down.
Don't do it, yeah.
Man, like I completely relate to Cliff. Cliff is my spirit animal, absolutely 100% completely. And y'all can kind of see what I mean when that episode drops. But like, at Rita, I constantly relate to her trying to be a perfectionist and trying to get there. Cliff, like, or Jane, like trying to figure out what part of her actually matters to the real world, and like focusing on that. Like Larry and his emotional state and trying to figure that out. Like all of these characters I relate to in some way, and I love it. And I love having a found family aspect in there. I love having the new beginnings in there. Man, I just love this show.
But at least we did
Me
see
too.
Mr. Nobody. He was still stuck in the painting.
Sure.
So we did get to see him a little bit.
Tudyk is the one part that I'm sort of
Yes.
missing. Abigail Shapiro
Yeah,
as Dorothy.
that's a good point.
Yeah, but
Is-
you only
is
saw
amazing.
Tudyk in like 2 or 3 episodes of the last
Yeah,
season.
but he
But
like
you-
narrated.
He
He
It was
did
still
not.
really
You heard
good.
him.
More than that.
Baloney.
Yeah,
I get it.
I don't give a fuck if you only saw him in like 3 of the 15 episodes. Like, Tudyk
That was
amazing.
quality.
No,
Yeah,
I agree.
Tudyk and
He was
everything.
Quality,
amazing.
so-
He was amazing. So I want to ask y'all, what do y'all think is the best character so far in this season? Because for me personally, I'm more attached to Rita. Like, I feel more of her story. I think that the actress is doing a great job portraying the role. Whenever I first started watching the show, obviously I didn't like Doom Patrol a lot the first time I watched it because I kind of gave it up after 4 episodes. But now that I've watched it more and I've kind of developed the story along, I like Rita as a character. I think she
Yeah.
is. I think
She's grown.
I know
so
that
much.
Cyborg most of the time is developed as the heart of whatever story, but I think Rita is the heart of this story. I really do. Her or Larry, one of those two.
Larry's
are the heart
in-
of the story.
Mhm.
You know?
Larry is the
Yeah.
best for me.
Yeah.
I want a
Yeah.
Larry
Larry.
costume so bad. Like I want to make a Larry costume.
I will
Negative
send
man.
you 10 bags of, or excuse me, 10 packs of bandages.
No.
There you go.
And you
There
have a
you
Larry
go.
It's
costume.
halfway there. I
And some
mean,
sunglasses,
yeah.
exactly. So
I like. I'm with you. I think Lair has been for a while is the one that's shown the biggest growth. I do like Cliff has been, really relentless in the fact of holding Niles accountable ever since last. I'm glad that
Which
has
he
not
should
been given
be.
up. That was really good.
Mhm.
I like that Larry, since towards the end of last season, is realizing how much of a a-hole he was as when he was, before the accident, and he is holding himself accountable now, and just wanting to make amends in different ways and trying to find a way to not be that character. It's similar to what Rita is. Rita realized what an a-hole she was, and is trying to repent for that by trying to be a better person and be a hero.
Right.
I like that we're still getting more backstory on all these characters. We're getting a lot more on Niles, than
Yes.
and so it's going to be fascinating to see. And I love, we're going to be getting some more of our last characters. I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Danny. That's just there's more to Danny than just
Then
a
meets the
brick.
brick.
Yeah, you can't throw that character away.
But I did like we get to see how evolved Danny's been and how long Danny's been out there. That was kind of cool to see that.
Old timey little signs, like banners. Like, I don't know. That was back with the Oga horns and stuff.
But I think that's what the heart of this show are these characters' backstories and their growth. I think that's what the key to this show is. It's really weird and out there, but if it was just a weirdly weird and out there show, I don't think it'd be as successful as it is right now. I think the actors and the stories they've built around them is what makes this show interesting.
Look.
Well, and you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Greg.
No, you're good.
Well, so the only thing I was gonna say is when I know for a fact when I saw the casting announcements being a part of entertainment news and everything, when the casting announcement came out and you have Matt Bomer voicing the character, you have Brendan Fraser coming, Diane Guerrero. She might not be as well known as some of the others, but like she's very.
She got the chops.
Is that Jane?
She's present. Yeah,
she's got the chops.
Yeah,
but you've got Matt Bomer and Brendan Fraser in here, and then you have Timothy Dalton come on, and those are some A-list characters coming in, and you're like, wow, are these are these actors just really like just can't find another job at that point? Like, I know that's what a lot of people said, but like, you can kind of see why they wrote onto this show because they're so character focused and. A lot of actors are really looking for that, and so Brendan, Matt, Timothy Dalton, they're all great cast in these roles, and I'm just happy they're here. Like,
Look, I woke up this morning to watch Doom Patrol the first 2 seasons at like 5:30 this morning because I had to make time to be able to.
First 2 seasons.
First 2 epissodes. Excuse me. Of season 2. No, I spent all week last week binging the first season. So, I woke up early to watch the show, and I was, sitting there in bed watching it or whatever. And my wife wakes up in bed, and she just looks at me. She goes, "This show is fucking weird," and rolls back over and lays back down. And I was like, you know what?
She's not wrong.
I was
You're right.
You were absolutely
Not
right.
wrong.
But that is the point of the show. That is the point of the show.
Yeah.
Is that is fucking weird. So.
But this show's got a lot of heart too.
No, I agree.
It has a lot of, and I think that's one thing that's special about it.
Yeah.
It just, you just don't have these people, and like I said, just throwing these random situations, this crazy mess that's happening. But it's got a lot of heart, and I don't think I could really choose one favorite character because honestly, it ebbs and flows.
Tiny Cliff declaring war on the rats was fucking hilarious.
That was pretty good. Yeah. I kind of wanted to piggyback just on what Chris was saying earlier. I think the show makes a really good point that your past trauma, your baggage, you can have that, but it doesn't really absolve you from responsibility. Like both things can exist. You can have really painful things in your past that definitely influence your actions, but that doesn't give you permission to hurt someone else.
Right.
And I think all the characters have gone on that journey of like, they definitely had something terrible happen to them, but then they also went out and hurt people. And I mean, that's every single character. And they've really wrestled with that. Like, does that make me a bad person because I did that? Can I be forgiven? And I think especially like poor negative man, poor Larry.
Yeah.
It's like he just cannot forgive himself. And I think there were
Can't catch
times
a
in
break.
season 1 that I was like, is he moping too much? Like, can't he just move on? But then when you get more and more and more of his story, you're like, wow, like how do you pick up the pieces from what you've done? I just think that's such a cool aspect of the show. They truly are anti-heroes, I think, in a bigger way than a lot of other shows.
Yeah.
Very good
Well,
point.
and I don't think I know for certain I didn't completely grasp the aspect of negative man's bandages. Like,
Yeah.
seeing that explanation happen here, where it was like, oh well, he actually has to be, and then there's no option. Otherwise, he kills a bunch of people. Like,
And it's better than that big ass rig thing he was walking around.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
That big ass apparatus with a tank.
And they also set that up in the end of the first season, whenever he basically is going to do the radiation thing, and he just kind of takes his bandages off. You don't think about it a lot then, but when they bring this up in this episode, or at least in this season, you're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, because they kind of stress on that these bandages are made by Niles, and they are going to help you not poison people with radiation. I guess that
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, they do a great job with that. I'm trying to think. What do y'all think about Dorothy? Because for me personally, I hate the character.
What? She
I
breaks
hate
my
the
damn
character.
heart. I love her.
I'm not interested in it. I just don't care. I think
care
that
so
that
much.
You better turn off the rest of the season because
No,
you're
I
not going
know,
to lose her.
but I feel like it's contrived to make the story work. I just don't like the character at all. But
Aw,
y'all tell me, what do you think? I have 2 little girls.
you're wrong.
I have 2 little girls.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Why do you
I know
suck,
it is,
Greg? Jesus.
That opening didn't break you, Greg? That opening didn't make you sad to see her in the
let's
cage
suck
and people
less.
throwing stuff
No,
at her?
don't get me wrong. That did. It made me upset to look at that, but the character itself, I'm just like, every time I see her on screen, I'm like, oh god, we haven't never seen with her. Like, come on. Like, I'm tired of seeing
I have the
this.
exact opposite
I'm tired of
reaction.
seeing this
Oh, no, I love
naivete type. I don't know
What
anything that's
happened?
going
Greg is mean
on
tonight.
type thing. Like, I just come on, like.
Well, I loved how Niles he told Cliff, he's like, can you watch the language around my 11-year-old?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But Lisa, you are strongly against this.
I didn't know what to think in the first season, like when we learn about his relationship with her mother, and then he has Dorothy, and I was like, where is this going? Like, there were times in that first season I was like, I feel like we're taking a break from the real story and we're going down like a weird rabbit hole. So in the second season, when we're learning more about Dorothy, I like how complicated that character is, because it's like, she's a danger to everyone, literally. She's like that episode of the Twilight Zone, like an old episode. You know what I'm talking about, where that kid like had that power to make all this terrible stuff happen.
Yes.
Okay, you get what I'm saying. It's kind of like that. And in that version, in the Twilight Zone, the character was evil. The little boy he loved the power of making horrible things happen. Dorothy is complicated because she's in so much fear and pain and sadness that she never really like grows from anything that happens to her. For some reason, she stays 11. And so it's complicated because she's innocent at the same time. Like, she's sweet. Yeah. And so I don't know. I just kind of like that aspect of that. I don't think we've ever seen that before. So, but I can see what you're saying about it seeming like, well, let's ride in the car together, Cliff. Like, it is kind of,
Right.
It's a little cheesy. Like, I get it.
Oh my gosh, I about died when I saw that car, and they're like
Make
zipping around that
pancakes
track.
with me.
Oh,
Did
Yeah.
you have those race car tracks when you were a kid? Just asking. Well,
Yes.
I mean, I did. I know. And if you speed by the turns too fast, it flips around.
Think
And
of
goes the other
flying
way.
off.
Yeah, exactly.
That-
Or flies
Whenever
off.
they're in that miniature town, it reminds me of like Beetlejuice.
yes.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good analogy. Yeah.
I like how they kind of shoehorned, Dorothy in the comics. Yes, has that look of, the kind of the facial appearance of an ape and arms, but the idea of her imaginary friends coming to life, and that is her power. That is what it is at that point. But I like that it makes a lot of sense the way they built up Niles' character and what happened in the past to make that his child. It works. It's not that way in the comics, but I like that they brought this character because it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
At that point. And I like how very much he warns her, do not wish anything.
Yeah.
Do
Right.
not, because that candle maker, ooh boy, yeah.
We're gonna find out about that soon.
We're
right?
just missing so much information right now.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just want to
Yes.
know more. Like, I don't really understand. And by the way, I haven't seen episode 3, but I just feel like there's so much information I'm missing. Look at Katie.
You should watch
knows.
it. No, seriously,
got a
episode
burn.
3 is
Jealous of-
amazing. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I
She's
want
thinking
to know
about episode
more.
4.
Like, what's up with the candle, and
Katie.
I just need to know. The show does such a good job of like, it's not an annoying cliffhanger show where you're like,
I need Katie
okay,
to log
like
in.
you did that on purpose. Like, there's really more to say.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Well, they do a good job of setting
Your
things up in
dog's
this show.
squeaky toys.
That's my dog. Sorry.
It's so
Sorry.
cute.
Yeah.
It's
It's
okay,
all good.
Nathan. You play with dog toys. It's okay.
Stanley's excited.
He's going.
No, they do a good job of setting things up in this show and kind of paying off in the end. And it kind of makes me, after watching the first season, wonder what I can see right now that's going to pay off in the end. I love Niall's story, and even though I don't agree with, 100% don't agree with things he did, you almost can't help but feel for him by at least the third episode of this season. Like, all right, at what point in time are these people going to forgive him, or necessarily, like, how much apologies do you have to put out there before?
If you put my brain in a robot body and I can't feel or touch or cry
Anything.
or like anything,
I already
I'm
put your
never
brain in a
forgiven
robot
him.
body. You just don't know
Never
it yet.
forgive it.
You just don't know it yet.
If I got
That's
a
why you're on
fake
this
having
show.
An orgasm, if I got a
No.
fake having an orgasm while everybody else around me is, I'm gonna be furious.
I feel you. No, I feel. And Cliff's points are even Cliff's points and everybody else that talks about how mad they are about him are perfectly valid. I totally understand that.
Well, I'm glad
But-
they didn't
but
drop it. I'm so glad they
Yeah,
didn't drop
Yeah.
I'm glad too because you feel for Niles. It gives you a moment for Niles where he's vulnerable. Where this guy has been in kind of control for the last 100 years of his life, but now all of a sudden everything he's done has come back to the roosters come back to
The roosters come out to roost.
Yeah, the roosters come back to roost. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's kind of feeling what's happened, what is the effects of what he's done, and he's got to do everything he can to make it right. And there may not be any making it right, even though it's a comic book show. I know eventually, he'll make it right, but it's just one of those things. Like I like the character. I'm not gonna say as a daughter. As a father of two daughters. That I wouldn't go to the ends of the earth and do everything to save them and make them better. And
Well, sure.
I think in that moment of thinking that everything changes and nothing else matters, so I kind of relate to him in that moment. Like, I would literally do anything I had to. Nathan, I love you, dude, but if I had to go, beat you up to make my daughters feel better,
Well, sure.
You're going down.
I would at least
Sure.
try. I would at least
I get
try.
it.
You'd probably
Just
take me
take it.
out, but
Just
I'd
took
at
a
least
turn.
try. Exactly.
I
So
get it. I'm not sure why I'm fighting you over your daughters, but I get it. I get it.
you're the closest. That's why. Actually,
Okay.
Chris is the closest, but
Chris is the closest.
yeah. But no, I mean,
Mhm.
I feel like I relate to Niles at least. Like where if it was in the moment of you have the choice of saving your daughter or saving a complete stranger. I'm sorry. Like, I'm a nice guy and I love humanity and everything else, but I'm saving my daughter, period. Like, that's all there is
Yeah.
to it. So I kind of feel him in that moment, but he's still an asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, isn't he kind of like? I mean, he's obviously Doom Patrol and like X-Men. Like, there's similarities. So he's kind of like Xavier. He's kind of like, but he's also kind of like Gandalf. He's like Dumbledore. He's that character that has all the cards and he keeps
Right.
them from everybody else.
Yeah.
And they're never even allowed to be mad at him, and they don't ever really get to question him and punch him in the jaw. Like, that's what's cool about Niles. It's like they
Yes.
get to
That's a
do
good
that.
point.
Like,
That's a very good
Yes.
point. Yeah.
It's true.
But,
Well, and on a side note, but kind of on the same point, can I just say, like, having Mark Shepard come back as Willoughby
oh
was,
yeah,
that was
great.
great,
I
yeah.
love Mark
Kipley
Shepard.
Willoughby.
Mhm. That was great.
I
Very
love
good.
Mark Shepard, so it's always good to see him on screen.
Well, just wait till we see the Beard Hunter again.
Oh,
You know you're
No,
going to.
God,
We
please
know
no.
you're going to. Yep.
You know he's coming back.
Well, is there anything else y'all want to point out about season 2 so far? It's come out.
Excellent. Continues to
It is
impress.
excellent. I agree. Very, very good.
Katie really
I'll be
wants
glad
to.
It's
I
okay.
can see
It's
season
okay to
4,
say
so-
it's good, Katie. It's okay.
I love this show. I can't wait to talk about episode 4.
Doom Patrol and The Boys were my two unexpected favorites of 2019.
Doom Patrol and Young Justice for me. But yes. Or excuse me,
I
not,
think
not Doom
I
Patrol.
would put
Sorry.
Umbrella Academy up
The-
there
the,
for
the
me.
Boys and Young
Yeah,
Justice, yes.
Umbrella
And I
Umbrella
loved
Academy
Umbrella
is
Academy. Which,
so good.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
Great
Lisa,
book.
you got to come back and check us out when we do season 2 because I know nobody else. but
Yes,
me and Nathan
I
have
would
watched Doom
love
Patrol,
to.
I was
or,
going to say,
excuse
me and Greg are the only
Umbrella
two that
Academy,
watched that. We
Oh.
finally got somebody else to talk
That's
to.
how this show was
It's on my
founded.
list.
Was
give me some
was
time.
Umbrella
Give me some
Academy.
time. Give
It's
me some
good.
time.
You guys have to watch it.
It's phenomenal.
really
it really
good.
is. Yes, yes. But if y'all have nothing else to say about Doom Patrol, I mean, it's like almost midnight where I'm at.
I'm ready to go to bed.
I'm sleepy.
It's getting
I was on an
close.
8-hour Zoom call.
30
I
a.m.
drank
You're not
like a
today.
half a bottle of whiskey in this whole show,
Oh my gosh.
which is why I'm probably slurring my words, but it's okay because I don't care.
Blurring his words. He's blurring his
my
words.
words. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
But yeah, like I said, nobody else got anything else to say. Let's go ahead and get out of here. It's been a great show, and I'm gonna go from bottom right to top left. So Travis, where can they find you?
Oh, I didn't know I was bottom right.
Yeah,
I know, it's like-
On my screen, you're bottom right. So where can they find you at, brother?
I'm like on top right for me. You can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about anything really. I do the DC Alliance podcast and superhero discussions with Greg.
Yeah.
I joined Chris on DC On Screen number 600.
You cheater.
That was like a 4-hour episode. I was only on for 2. Chris did the whole 4 hours. He actually stayed there from
It was
one day
really
to the
5 and
next.
6. Whew.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of pre and post show conversations. But I forgot to plug the Geek Ultimate Alliance when I was on there, so ultimately I didn't give them any avenue to find my podcast. So that was pretty funny. Nathan pointed that out to me. But yeah, you can find me there and go check that episode out. It's a little longer than normal, but it's quite a fun episode.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Dude, anything with you on it is good, man. That's all there is.
Oh, you're so sweet,
That's all there
dude.
is to it, man.
Are you sure you're not Canadian?
No, maybe I'm Jewish, so you know.
I don't
We're
know if those
sweet,
two
I
are
mean,
mutually
like the-
exclusive. But
I was like, where's this going?
That's right.
Katie, where can they find you at?
So you can find me on Twitter at KGirlStrap13. This past week, we just dropped Star Wars Alliance Episode 2.
Yeah, that was amazing.
About with Nathan, Clone Wars Season 7, and a shit ton of news. This week, you can
Couple
find
listener
me on the
questions.
sexiest of weeklies with Slice of Film.
Bi-weekly. That's right.
Nathan's got me saying it now.
I got her hooked. The sexiest of weeklies.
But Slice of Film, a slice of Driving Miss Daisy will be this Thursday. So I'm excited.
Talk about old timey.
yeah, one of my good friends, Landon Bell, and I talked about the movie. He loves it, so I'm excited about that episode.
Yeah, good deal. Y'all check
And
it
then
out. It's a fun. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm gonna plug my Doom Patrol Season 2, Episode 1 to 3
Do it.
review.
Yeah.
That's on Full Circle Cinema. If you want to look into my Season 1 reviews, that's all on my slicerscribbles.com/my-work.
There you go.
So,
There you
go
go.
there.
Good deal. Good deal. Sarah, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at MyLadyKitten. Majority of times you can find me on a little podcast with Greg as well. That is the Three Panthers podcast.
Yeah.
He's one of the hosts, and I try to keep the chat going. So you know.
Keep that chat alive. Don't
But,
even lie. You are the live point of that chat. Everybody loves it when you
I
come on,
don't
like, "Hey,
stay in there too
Sarah!"
long because
Yeah.
I don't stay in there too long, but I try to get it started a little bit. So, but that's pretty much it.
Well, Sarah, I am working on a Star Trek show with you, and I feel like Chris Balga is a great expert for Star Trek too. So I'm trying to get together something like that works in the future on our network, and stay tuned.
If you talk
because it may
about the
happen.
one with the whale, I'll rewatch that one again and like talk about that.
Star
Boy,
Trek
Joe.
was
You
one
go
of my
way back.
first fandoms ever, so
Oh, it's a great movie.
I mean,
I
that's-
love the new Calvin timeline.
yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah,
love
me
it,
too.
love it. But Lisa, you are next on my list. Where can they find you at?
You can catch me on Twitter at ILTM Podcast, also on Instagram. I Love That Movie Podcast, and of course, you can find my podcast pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. If that doesn't work for you, you can go to my website, ilovethatmoviepodcast.com. But yeah, that's about it.
Lisa, you were a true inspirer to me and Chris. I know personally. Love your show. I was fortunate enough to be on a show with you yesterday, which is going to come out pretty soon.
Yes, that's going to drop
on a movie
this
you love.
Saturday.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
talked about the movie Big, which was awesome.
Yes.
I've had 3 of you on my show. There's some more people that need to come on.
Yes,
So,
yes, you definitely need to schedule
love
that.
to have
and
you.
if y'all want
And
to talk,
that's so sweet, you guys. I honestly, I mean this when I say that. Like, shocks me to hear anyone say like, "Oh, you know, I really like your show," and da 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 da. Like all the nice things you guys say. I can't believe it. So it's really sweet, and y'all are such pros. And I don't know how you can juggle like 6 people at once, Greg. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, Greg could definitely do that. I don't know
it's
if I could
easy.
ever.
I drink and I tell the
I
next
could
person to
not.
talk. Yeah, it's very easy.
I would be so stressed. I would be visibly sweating. So, anyways, thank you so much for having me. It means a lot.
We love having you on. And seriously, check out I Love That Movie podcast. Sorry.
He's like, I love whiskey.
Right, I love it. Great show. Sarah is a
that's
true
his next
professional.
podcast.
Yeah. Sarah is a true professional. Excuse me. Lisa is a true professional. Sarah is too.
I
Sarah,
tried.
too.
No. Oh no.
Great show. I love your show. True inspirer. And thank you so much for
Reel it
being
in,
on.
buddy.
Yeah. Chris, where can we find you at, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Balga. 2 shows I do is on Mondays or Geek Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Alliance podcast. I believe this week, which we'll be recording, well, technically now tomorrow, but it'll be out at the same time, probably this one on Monday, looking at new Marvel game. Finally got some footage of that. Our topic is going to be Fantastic Four into the MCU, some of our ideas of that. And this week also dropping a new episode of World's Finest True Believers. It'll be bringing Brock on from Marvel Squadcast, looking at Reign of the Supermen.
Nice. Very nice. I like
So good deep dive onto that.
Yeah.
So
I like you got a Marvel guy to do a DC comic.
it's happened. It's happened a lot lately.
I like it. And last but not least, Nathan, where can they find you at, buddy?
You can find me on Twitter when I'm not quitting it sporadically and deleting the app. But you can find me on Twitter at WobblyBoots85. And you can also hear me on the Sexiest of Weeklies with Katie, the bi-weekly show of the Star Wars Alliance podcast.
I got him to commit to co-hosting.
Yeah.
Good
So,
stuff.
and,
We can finally start
Nice.
adding them in.
right. And other than that, you can find me here, and feel free to drop me a line or slide into my DMs, as the kids say, or whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah, whatever the kids are saying.
That's the sexiest way to say it. Just saying. Like,
And next Monday he'll have the password to the Star Wars Alliance.
and next
So.
Monday, I could probably use the Star Wars Twitter account.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, about to get dangerous.
Nathan. Well, Nathan, buddy, you're a founder with me of the Super Civil Servants podcast. You have access to the SCS Podcast 1 Twitter handle. So if you want to talk to me and Nathan, check that out, or Wobbly Boots 85 or the Bat Daddy 52. We can check you out there. I also do DC Alliance podcast with Travis and superhero discussions with Travis Monday and Friday. So the beginning, Tuesday and Friday. So beginning and end of the week, basically. Check us out. Great time. We love talking everything nerd, and it kind of gets out there. But if you want to see me anywhere else, I am on the live on YouTube at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. YouTube, C3 Panthers podcast, talking Carolina Panthers football, which is a very weak fan base right now. But we still like to talk football because we are true fans, period. And Sarah is the ruler of the chat room there. So come check us out. I have connections with all these people, but I really appreciate all y'all coming on. It's been a fantastic time.
Thanks,
We've
Greg.
talked about a ton of stuff, and until next week, keep pounding, like I always say.
Yeah. Keep
pounding.
pounding.
Yeah.
That's right.
Beware my
Bye,
light.
y'all.
Yeah,
See ya.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye.
All right. Now I just
I'm going to bed.
Right?
now I just got to
It's
go on
1:30
YouTube.
a.m. here. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Everyone's just leaving. They didn't even say
Yeah.
goodbye.
There we go.
I was like,
All right.
peace out.
See you guys.
All right, guys.
No,
Bye.
seriously, y'all. Thank you very much.